Chapter 17:11. Going into battle, we can only drag things out with our current situation. Mo Ling gritted his teeth. He felt very pressured against 3 gods. With his strength, he was confident about taking on any single one of them and not suffer defeat, but he would not be able to last for very long if he had to fight 2 gods at the same time. However, even if he managed to keep 2 gods busy, there would still be one more god and the various deity elders. Although Shen Jian's comprehension of the laws of the sword had reached mid-god, far greater than any god present, his personal cultivation was just too weak after all. Mo Ling estimated that he would struggle a little in just keeping a single god busy. He would only be able to put up a proper fight if Chen was present as well, as he had managed to heavily injure the ancestor of the Lu family before. Although Mo Ling had never personally witnessed Chen's abilities, he could already understand just how terrifying his strength was because he managed to injure Tian to the point where he had to flee without the treasure of the Lu family. Brother Jian, let's not go out for now. Let's drag it out and waste as much time as we can, Mo Ling said to Jian secretly within the protective formation. Jian nodded. He also knew that they would not be able to hold off 3 gods with just Mo Ling in him. Dragging out things was the only method available to them right now. Mo Ling, will your Mo clan surrender or will you continue to put up a pointless struggle? Ando Fu asked. Mo Ling sneered. Ando Fu, Tian, do you really think that the Mo clan is done for just because you two are working together and have managed to gather 3 gods? Everyone will suffer heavy losses in the end. The outcome might even be worse than that for you. Even worse than that? Ando Fu smiled deeply when he heard that. He said to Mo Ling, are you referring to this? A piece of jade had appeared silently in Ando Fu's hand. He held it between his fingers, showing it to Mo Ling. Mo Ling's eyes narrowed, and his expression immediately became ugly. He was familiar with the piece of jade, as he had personally handed it to clansmen and secretly arranged for him to stay in the provincial city. Aside from him and the patriarch, no one else in the Mo clan knew this person's identity. The piece of jade contained information about the god King Duanmu's jade. When he had passed the jade to the clansman, he had warned him many times that he could only remove the restrictions on it if the Mo clan was destroyed. He would make the information in there go public so that the entire Dong'an province would learn about god King Duanmu's jade. Mo Ling had prepared such measures in the past to prevent the Lu family and the Ando clan from truly banding together against the Mo clan. If that really did happen, he could use it to strike worry and fear into the hearts of the Lu family and the Ando clan. Even if the Mo clan suffered the worst possible outcome, the Lu family and the Ando clan would not be able to benefit from it at all. Instead, they would have to lose their god King Duanmu's jade or even have their clans destroyed. Yet now, the piece of jade had actually appeared in Ando Fu's hands. That would mean the person Mo Ling had sent to the provincial city had met his end. Mo Ling, will you give up now? Let me ask you one last time. Are you going to surrender or put up a pointless struggle? If you surrender, I will spare you, sneered Tian. You're dreaming if you think our Mo clan will surrender, Mo Ling said with a gruff voice. Now that his clan possessed Chen and Jian, he became a little more confident. Tian's gaze turned cold. He gave an order without any hesitation, do it. With the order, the 7 deities from the Lu family and all the Origin realm experts behind them struck out at the same time. Origin energy immediately surged as 900 attacks landed on the Mo clan's barrier simultaneously. Do it. At the same time, Ando Fu gave his orders as well. His elders and Origin realm experts struck out at the same time as well, and they basically hit the barrier at the same time as the attacks from the Lu family. Boom! Attacks from over a dozen deities and over 1,000 Origin realm cultivators was terrifying. When it struck the barrier of the Mo clan, a deafening sound immediately erupted. Ripples of Origin energy spread out in the surroundings with various attributes, dyeing the world with various colors. However, the protective barrier of the Mo clan was extraordinary as well. It was extremely powerful, so the simultaneous attacks from more than 10 deities and over 1,000 Origin realm cultivators only made the barrier tremble and dull slightly. Mo Ling, I'd like to see how many divine crystals your Mo clan has to support the barrier. Tian hovered in the air leisurely. He stared below with a sneer. The gods on his side did not move. All the cultivators from the Lu family and the Ando clan did not stand around idly. They constantly barraged the Mo clan's formation with attacks. There were even a few Origin Realm cultivators among the two clans who stood in formation. They poured the strength of several dozen or even over 100 people together to erupt with the might of godhood. The deafening sounds constantly rang out as the Mo clan's barrier shook more and more. The barrier flickered. Quick, quick, pour the divine crystals into the foundation of the formation. The members of the upper echelon who normally managed the affairs of the clan called out in a panic, ordering groups of guards to provide energy to the formation. At the same time, on the peak of a mountain shrouded in mist within the Otomo's sword sect, the sect master stood there politely. Before him was a white-robed, middle-aged man. He had his back towards the sect master as he gazed at the sea of clouds before him. Ancestor, the Lu family and the Ando clan have already moved against the Mo clan. I plead the ancestor to take part and make the Mo clan pay for their previous actions, the sect master said politely. You want the Otomo's sword sect to go war against the Mo clan just because of your disappointment of a son. Do you think it's worth it? The middle-aged man asked the sect master without even turning back. His voice was indifferent, without any particular emotion at all. Ancestor, the Mo clan has gone too far. When elders Mo Shen and Mo Yun took Fanner with them in their visit to the Mo clan before, both Mo Yun and Fanner lost an arm in the end. That's basically a naked provocation to our sect, a slap to our face. If we don't take revenge, would we still have any dignity? The sect master said. I've spoken with the two elders, and I've learnt the entire story. Wasn't everything caused by your disappointment of a son? The middle-aged man said steadily. The sect master's face changed slightly. He said with reluctance, Ancestor, are we supposed to just let this matter be? The middle-aged man shook his head and sighed gently. You are so ignorant. I really do regret passing the position of sect master to you slightly. If you continue like this, the entire sect is probably going to be destroyed in your hands. The sect master was surprised. He immediately knelt in fear and said politely, Please do not be angry, ancestor. Please calm down. It was me who did not think through everything. I did not realize what everything would result in. It's best if we don't offend the Mo clan then. Although they don't seem any greater than our sect, they've existed for much longer. Sigh, the middle-aged man let out a breath of disappointment. He turned towards the sect master and said, You've still failed to understand what I'm trying to say. We will not be waging war against the Mo clan. The middle-aged man paused there. His gaze became deep, and he continued, however, the Mo clan severed Elder Mo Yun's arm after all. If we don't make an appropriate response to that, our status will plummet. We won't be interfering with the battle between the Mo clan, Ando clan, and Lu family, but we will devote all our strength into killing the people of the Mo clan once they suffer defeat. If the Lu family and Ando clan are unable to devastate the Mo clan even when they're working together, we'll just let the matter of Elder Mo Yun's severed arm be. We won't mention it again. Chapter 17:12. God's step and booms rang out in the Mo clan, and it was to the point where even the surroundings changed in color. The ferocious shockwaves of battle had littered the ground within several tens of thousand kilometers with web-like cracks. If it were not for the fact that everything in the Saints' world was extraordinarily tough, a single ripple would have easily destroyed an entire planet. The Lu family and the Ando clan attacked non-stop for an entire day and night. The Mo clan had exhausted a large number of divine crystals as well to maintain their formation. We probably don't have enough divine crystals to last much longer, the patriarch said sternly while hovering in the air. The 6 elders of the clan all became stern too. They had clearly realized this problem as well. Father, I still have over 10,000 low-grade divine crystals on me. If there isn't enough, you can use them to keep up the formation, Shiyu said. She was the first to offer up all her divine crystals. I still have a few thousand on me. I also have over 10,000, I have 30,000. After Shiyu, the other elders all took out all the divine crystals they possessed. As elders of the Mo clan, they received quite a large amount of divine crystals during every interval, but they would use the divine crystals to cultivate. Coupled with a few other expenses, all of them only had a minimal amount left. There was even an elder with only several hundred low-grade divine crystals, which was quite a sorry sight. Jian hesitated slightly before also passing a space ring to the patriarch. He said, I have close to 1,000,000 divine crystals here, with many at mid or high grade. Please use these for your formation. Most of the divine crystals came from the Lu family's mine, while a tiny portion of them was originally gifted to Shen Jian by the Mo clan. They were left over after Shen Jian had broken through. Shen Jian had taken out close to 1,000,000 divine crystals, with mid and high grade ones within. His wealth had stunned all the elders. They all stared at Shen Jian in disbelief. Since when did Shen Jian become so wealthy? Even their Mo clan did not possess high-grade divine crystals. The patriarch's eyes lit up. He did not try to turn down Shen Jian. He simply accepted the space ring and personally replenished the divine crystals in the foundation of the formation. Tian hovered outside the formation as he stared coldly at the Mo clan. If the three gods struck out together, they would be able to smash through the formation with just a little effort, but they were unwilling to spend energy like that. They were all building up energy, silently adjusting themselves so that they were at their peak condition at all times. As soon as the barrier shattered, they would launch a barrage of attacks. However, when Tian saw that most of the divine crystals from the Patriarch's space ring were mid or even high grade, his face immediately paled. Killing intent rose up from his chest, and he could not help but bellow out in the end. He began to attack the barrier. All the mid and high-grade divine crystals belonged to his Lu family, yet the Mo clan was actually using them to maintain their formations. Tian was absolutely furious at the sight of this. Flames roared around Tian, dyeing the world red. He erupted with a surging presence while wielding a fire-red sword, directly cleaving the barrier. With a boom, the barrier over the Mo clan almost collapsed directly from the strike. The barrier quickly faded in color while a large number of divine crystals were drained of all their origin energy in just a few seconds, reduced to powder. Quick, add in the divine crystals. With the call, guards immediately went forth to replenish the supply of divine crystals. Ando Fu, poison god Datura, let's do it together and wipe out the Mo clan as soon as possible. I don't want the Mo clan to exist for even a day longer in this world, Tian said coldly. He hated the Mo clan dearly. If that person called Jian Chen didn't attack the Dark Cloud Mountains, would the appearance of high-grade divine crystals be leaked so quickly? With our Lu family's strength, we would be able to keep the news a secret for several years, or even longer. Ando Fu and Datura looked at each other and no longer stood by. They immediately started to attack the barrier of the Mo clan together. Datura's weapon was a green staff. It shone with a strange, green light, filled with toxicity. She gently extended her staff and the weapon rapidly expanded, slamming into the barrier as a huge log that was several dozen meters in diameter. Ando Fu also struck out with his hand, forming a huge palm of several hundred meters across that slammed into the barrier. Tian also launched a second attack. The flames of his sword surged as his presence soared, slashing at the barrier again. The activity from the attacks of three gods was simply shocking. It made all the elders in the Mo clan feel like they were suffocating. They felt like they could not put up a fight at all. This is the might of gods. Before gods, deities are as insignificant as ants. The elders all paled slightly, and they all felt bitter inside. With the simultaneous attacks of three gods, the barrier of the Mo clan could no longer last much longer. Tian, let me try you, Shen Jian said at this moment. He was expressionless as he radiated with surging sword intent. He directly stepped out of the barrier with the cloud stream sword. Shen Jian, you must not, brother Shen Jian, come back. You're not a god's opponent, Shen Jian, come back. The expressions of the elders of the Mo clan all changed when they saw that Shen Jian actually wanted to leave the barrier and fight Tian. They all cried out in surprise. Shen Jian's sturdy body stood outside the barrier. His hair ruffled despite the absence of any wind, while the image of a flaming sword rapidly approaching him was clearly reflected in his eyes. However, he showed no fear. Instead, he boiled with battle intent as he called out, "Swordbreaker." The cloud stream sword immediately stabbed out with a resplendent glow. He's done for. Shen Jian is done for. He has such great talent, yet he has to pass away here. It's just such a pity. Shen Jian, your talent is very great. Not even late deities may be able to defeat you, but you're facing a god after all. How can you be his opponent with your strength at mid-deity? The elders were all filled with regret as they felt remorse for Shen Jian. No one believed he was Lu Tian's opponent. After all, one of them was a deity, while the other was a god. There was an enormous disparity between the two. The cloud stream sword finally collided with Lu Tian's sword with a bright glow. There was the screeching of metal, and Lu Tian's sword immediately erupted with a fire that contained the laws of fire. The surrounding temperature immediately skyrocketed, and the violent flames swallowed Shen Jian. Sigh, these are a god's laws, and in particular, the laws of fire, which are one of the most offensive laws out there. Shen Jian's probably going to be reduced to nothingness. The elders of the Mo clan all shook their heads. Chapter 17:13, Shen Jian's strength. However, the elders of the Mo clan had failed to notice the patriarch's reaction. The patriarch also watched Lu Tian's flames swallow up Shen Jian, but he showed no signs of regrets at all. Instead, he watched the terrifying, roaring flames eagerly. He thought, although Shen Jian's cultivation is only at mid-deity, his comprehension of the laws of the sword has already reached mid-god. It's even greater than Lu Tian's, so I wonder if he can stop Lu Tian or not. The patriarch was not completely certain whether Shen Jian possessed the power to fight a god or not either. At this moment, a dazzling white light exploded from within the flames that had swallowed Shen Jian. With the appearance of the light, the flames immediately began to shake violently, tremble violently. The white light shone brighter and brighter before becoming extremely sharp, piercing through all of the flames with a powerful sword intent. The flames contained laws of fire that were at the level of gods, so they were extremely powerful. Even late deities would suffer certain death if this fire swallowed them up, and they would be unable to avoid the fate of being burnt to a crisp. However, the dazzling white light had split the flames in half. The elders discovered the white light in the flames as soon as it appeared. Their eyes all narrowed as they became fixated. The white light is sword qi. It's an extremely powerful sword qi. Is it Shen Jian's sword qi? Shen Jian hasn't been burnt to a crisp? That's impossible. Shen Jian is clearly a mid-deity, so it's impossible for him to survive. The elders all cried out as they revealed expressions of disbelief. Shiyu also stared at the white light that split the flames apart. The light in her eyes wavered as she thought, so father's confidence comes from him. I never thought that Shen Jian would be so powerful. The flames gradually subsided while Shen Jian's figure had already vanished. There was only a ball of white light, radiating with surging sword intent against Lu Tian. A hazy figure was barely visible through the white light. Lu Tian's face sank. He stared at the figure bathed in light and said coldly, I sure have underestimated you. Shen Jian, your cultivation is limited, but your comprehension of the laws of the world has already surpassed mine. You really do possess the right to fight me. The elders of the Mo clan immediately became stunned when they heard that. They all stared at the ball of light in disbelief as their hearts churned. Shen Jian had clearly only reached godhood recently, yet his comprehension of the laws of the world had already surpassed Lu Tian's. This was just far too unbelievable. They had already spent so many years to reach godhood. Basically, everyone would be stuck at peak reciprocity by the laws of the world before they broke through, assuming they ever did break through. Any progress from minor cultivation realms would require the accumulation of comprehension over many years. Some people would not even be able to break through once they reached a certain cultivation for the rest of their lives, so they understood extremely well just how difficult it was to make any progress with one's comprehension of laws. However, Shen Jian's comprehensions of laws had surpassed Lu Tian's, a god, while he was at mid-deity. all of them felt envious of such talent. With a boom, Mo Ling appeared outside the barrier as well. He stopped Ando Fu and Datura's attacks by himself. "Brother Shen Jian, I'll leave Lu Tian to you for now," Mo Ling called out. His presence surged as he charged towards Ando Fu and Datura without any fear. He fought against the two of them all by himself. Deafening booms constantly rang out as violet shockwaves wreaked havoc in the surroundings. The battle involving Lu Tian, Ando Fu, and Datura had made even the world pale in comparison. Mo Ling used his full strength. He shone with dazzling golden light as he wore quite an impressive armor of light. He wielded a huge sword that he swung towards Ando Fu and Datura. The laws he had comprehended were the laws of metal among the 5 elements. Ando Fu did not hold back either. He wielded a fencing sword that was only a finger wide. He turned into a wisp of wind as he moved around Mo Ling, moving extremely quickly. The sword in his hand turned into various blurs as well as it stabbed towards Mo Ling with unbelievable speed. Ando Fu had comprehended the laws of wind. The laws of wind possessed an absolute advantage in terms of speed. There was rarely anyone who could rival people who comprehended the laws of wind in terms of speed, and it was rare for anyone who possessed equal strength to catch up to them if they fled. However, the laws of wind also possessed a weakness, which was weaker attacks. Although poison god Datura was also fighting Mo Ling, she was the only god who did not use her full strength. Every time she struck out, there would be a large commotion, but basically nothing in strength. She only dealt with the attacks coming her way and did not do anything else. However, even with that being the case, she and Ando Fu still managed to keep Mo Ling suppressed so that he could only defend. He had completely lost the upper hand, unable to counterattack at all. There should still be one person in the Mo clan who hasn't appeared, seeing how fearful Lu Tian is of him. He must be extremely powerful. I have to be careful so that I don't fall for Lu Tian's ruse. Although half of the Mo clan's wealth is extremely shocking, it's not enough for me to go all out, thought Datura. Her eyes flickered with uncertainty as she observed the surroundings cautiously at all times. On the other side, Shen Jian and Lu Tian fought intensely as well. Lights flickered, and sword chi surged about. Both of them used their full strength in an attempt to kill each other as quickly as possible, so their battle became extraordinarily intense. Back when he was at the peak of reciprocity, he still could not fight back against Lu Tian even when his comprehension of laws had reached mid-god. Now that he had become a mid-deity, he was able to put up a fight with his comprehension of his laws of the sword and his powerful techniques despite his weaker cultivation. Presence breaker. Shen Jian called out. His eyes were extremely sharp as he stabbed out with lightning speed. At the same time, Lu Tian stabbed towards Shen Jian as his sword roared with flames. When it struck Shen Jian's protective glow, the laws of fire on the sword immediately dispersed. Lu Tian was not as great as Shen Jian in terms of laws. However, the sword also possessed Lu Tian's strength as an early god. Shen Jian's protective glow became extremely weak after stopping the laws of fire, so the light shattered in the face of the sword's power. Spurt. Lu Tian's sword stabbed into Shen Jian's chest. The terrifying heat in the sword immediately melted a gaping hole in Shen Jian's body. At the same time, Shen Jian's sword landed on Lu Tian. It only managed to penetrate an inch deep before being forcefully stopped by Lu Tian's laws of fire and power of cultivation, which prevented his sword from advancing any further. However, Lu Tian's face suddenly changed as the presence of his entire body became rather messy. His wound from the attack was clearly nothing severe, yet the Cloudstream sword possessed a mysterious power that actually made a quarter of his origin energy vanish in a single moment. What is this strange technique? Lu Tian's face changed in surprise. He immediately shot backwards as he experienced shock inside. The strike had made a quarter of all his origin energy disappear. If he took another 3 such attacks, would that not mean all his origin energy would vanish? How would he still fight once he lost all his origin energy? Chapter 1714, Jian Chen steps in. No, my origin energy hasn't vanished. It has been sealed up by a mysterious power. What is this power? It actually possesses such a mysterious might. A mere mid-deity can actually seal up the origin energy of a powerful god, thought Lu Tian. The mysterious power hidden within his dantian was extremely strange. He had never seen something like this even after living for so long. As long as the origin energy hasn't vanished for no reason, then it's fine. Otherwise, it would just be far too terrifying. It's much easier to deal with a seal. Lu Tian was relieved at the same time. When he discovered that his origin energy had suddenly vanished, he had leapt in fright. Formbreaker. Jian became rather pale, but his battle intent remained just as great. He took the initiative and charged towards Lu Tian. His presence surged as he turned into a streak of light. Jian, I'll let you witness my true strength, Lu Tian said coldly. Extending a finger towards the sky, laws of fire immediately began to condense from the surroundings. It formed a raging sea of fire above his head instantly. Fire cloud meteor. Lu Tian called out, and the sea of fire surged above his head. In the end, it condensed into 5 head-sized fireballs. Each ball of fire contained surging power as they radiated with terrifying pressure. Swish. In the next moment, one of the 5 fireballs shot off like a comet with a tail toward Jian as it pulsed with energy. Jian showed no fear as his cloudstream sword shot towards the fireball as if it was unstoppable. Boom! The fireball immediately exploded as the violent flames dyed the sky red. The terrifying heat permeated the surroundings, scorching the ground while the barrier around the Mo clan in the distance shook heavily. Lu Tian has actually used a battle skill. Jian is so powerful he actually forced Lu Tian to use a battle skill. What power? That's a 4th grade truth tier battle skill at the very least. The elders of the Mo clan all cried out, while the patriarch stared at Jian nervously. He was fraught with worry. Blood spurted from Jian's mouth as he was blown away like a cannonball. His clothes were turned to ashes silently. Jian, you possess the right to fight me, but it's only the right. If I exert my full strength, killing you will still be a piece of cake. 4 balls of fire burned above Lu Tian. Each fireball radiated with immense power. However, you should be able to die without regrets for forcing me into using a battle skill, Lu Tian said coldly. He extended a finger towards Jian in the distance, and 2 of the fireballs above him immediately whistled away. Jian became extremely grim as he faced the 2 incoming fireballs. It was a battle skill a god cast, so he would be doomed if he was even slightly carelessness. Suddenly, Jian's cloudstream sword began to tremble violently. He called out, well that splits the heavens, the sword shakes and stars shatter. With that, the cloudstream sword emitted several pulses, which stacked together and expanded towards the 2 incoming fireballs. Wherever the pulse passed by, all the origin energy in the area would begin to disperse, actually directly reduced to nothingness by the pulse. When the pulse and the fireballs collapsed, the fireballs immediately slowed down. The pulse struck the fireballs, and they trembled as the laws of fire inside rapidly weakened. However, the 2 fireballs still managed to charge beyond the pulse in the end and collided with Jian. However, the fireballs did become much weaker after the obstruction of the pulse. The fireball struck Jian firmly, exploding loudly and brightly. Jian spat out another mouthful of blood as he was blown away once again. All his organs had disintegrated, while his skin had been charred black. He was heavily injured. If it were not for his technique that weakened the 2 fireballs, he probably would have passed away from the attack even with his mid-god comprehension of laws and his protective layer of light. Ultimately, he was only a mid-deity. After all, this was a battle skill a god employed, and it was of quite a high grade. It was at the 4th grade of the truth tier at the very least, so its power was obviously terrifying. You're actually still not dead? However, you'll die soon anyway. Jian, no one can save you today, Lu Tian said coldly. He radiated with heavy killing intent as the 2 last fireballs whistled off as well, flying towards Jian mercilessly. Mo Ling roared out from afar. He wanted to try to save Shen Jian, but his two opponents had him firmly trapped. He was unable to break free. The elders in the Mo clan all panicked, but they were helpless against the attack as well. They would probably be burnt to a crisp before they could even approach the fireballs. Shen Jian gritted his teeth as determination flooded his eyes. The first move of a will that splits the heavens was not enough to stop Lu Tian's battle skill, but that was not the only move he knew. He also knew the second move. However, it was just too powerful. Despite reaching mid-deity, he still had not mastered it. If the first move's power was equivalent to a star, then the second move was equivalent to an entire galaxy. He would have to pay an extremely heavy price to use the second move. At this point, he had already run out of options in the face of Lu Tian's battle skill. He could only use the second move, the sword extends and galaxies extinguish. However, just when Shen Jian was prepared to use this move, the surrounding temperature plummeted. In the blink of an eye, it went from something akin to a land of lava to a cavern of ice. Snow filled the skies. It's the flying snow sword. The patriarch's face lit up. He suddenly turned towards the seventh hall. Just when the patriarch looked over, a flash of light quickly shot out at an unbelievable speed. It shot through the barrier of the Mo clan and headed towards the two fireballs with a seemingly unstoppable force. So quick. The patriarch shivered inside. Even with his strength, he failed to catch a glimpse of the light clearly. He only managed to capture a blurry image of a sword within the light with his soul. It was the same sword that he had bought from Maple Leaf City, which he had then gifted to Jian Chen. Boom! The flying snow sword directly stabbed through the two fireballs and the fireballs exploded in the sky brightly. Terrifying ripples of energy permeated the surroundings, where even early deities would become heavily injured if they entered the region without any protective treasures. The flying snow sword continued onwards without weakening at all. It was enveloped by laws of the sword that far exceeded the level of early god, directly ignoring the terror of the sea of flames and arriving before Lu Tian in a single moment. Lu Tian's face changed drastically, and he immediately shot backwards to dodge. However, even after using his full strength, he was still too late. The flying snow sword had swept past his shoulder and left behind a smear of blood. Lu Tian felt a heart-wrenching pain from his left arm, and the entire limb fell out of the sky. It had been separated from his body. Lu Tian was extremely shocked. He had not even seen his opponent. Just a single sword had come flying over, smashing through his battle skill and claiming his arm. Just what kind of power did its owner possess? Chapter 1715, Crushing Lu Tian. On the other side, Ando Fu and poison god Datura became greatly shocked as well when they saw how Lu Tian had lost his left arm from a single clash. They became astounded and immediately stopped bothering with Mo Ling, immediately guarding against the mysterious expert that possessed shocking strength. Ha ha ha, brother Jian Chen, I'll leave Lu Tian to you. I'll keep these two busy. Come to help me after you kill Lu Tian. Mo Ling chucked aloud while blood still flowed from the corner of his mouth. He ignored his wounds, sticking to Datura and Ando Fu closely. Ando Fu's face became sunken. He used his full strength in an attempt to break free from Mo Ling. However, he felt bitter inside. Previously, he and Datura had kept Mo Ling busy to prevent him from helping Lu Tian so that they could earn precious time for Lu Tian to kill Shen Jian. However, in the blink of an eye, the situation had been completely reversed. Originally, they kept Mo Ling busy, but now, Mo Ling was keeping them busy. Datura's face became sunken as well. The light in her eyes flickered with uncertainty as she began to contemplate retreat. Mo Ling's bountiful promise had persuaded her, which was why she agreed to assist Lu Tian against the Mo clan. From Lu Tian, she had also learnt that there was another mysterious expert that was akin to a god in the Mo clan. Aside from Mo Ling, Lu Tian and Ando Fu would deal with Mo Ling, while she would deal with the mysterious expert. Datura originally believed that with the combined force of three gods, there would be no pressure in dealing with the Mo clan. Even if the Mo clan possessed two gods, they could only face defeat, and she would be able to obtain half of the Mo clan's wealth easily. That was why she had agreed. However, she could clearly sense that the Mo clan was probably extremely different to what it seemed along the way. As a result, she always remained on guard, afraid of falling for Lu Tian's tricks. In particular, when they began fighting, it was different from what they had initially agreed on. Lu Tian engaged the mysterious expert she was supposed to fight, while she and Ando Fu fought Mo Ling. She had sensed that something was wrong when that happened, which was why she never used her full strength. She fought Mo Ling with complete reluctance. However, now that Lu Tian had lost his arm to a single strike, combined with Mo Ling's cry, she suddenly understood everything. As it turned out, the mysterious expert she was supposed to fight was not Shen Jian but the shockingly powerful Jian Chen. I see, Lu Tian. You really did have ill intentions and actually schemed against me. Looks like you're still hung up about the matters of the past. You're not confident enough to personally deal with me, so you want to deal with me through someone else. Ha ha ha, Lu Tian, but why do I feel that the mysterious expert you mentioned is far greater than what you described him to be? Even you probably don't know how powerful that person is from your expression, Datura sneered inside while her eyes became as icy as a viper's. A white-robed young man steadily flew out from the 7th hall in the Mo clan. Under the stunned gazes of all the elders, he slowly made his way through the barrier. He wielded the flying snow sword that had cut off Lu Tian's arm in his hands. What is happening? How is Jian Chen so powerful? Wasn't Jian Chen at the Origin Realm? How did he become so powerful in the blink of an eye? He took Lu Tian's arm with a single strike. Oh my god, Lu Tian's a god after all. Jian Chen can heavily injure gods so easily. The elders of the Mo clan all stared at Jian Chen with widened eyes. At that moment, they even struggled to believe the sight before them. Jian Chen had never garnered any attention from them in the clan. The elders had never even properly looked at Jian Chen. If it were not for Shen Jian's existence, they probably might have even forgotten that a person called Jian Chen existed in their Mo clan. However, they had never thought that it would be this same Jian Chen that actually possessed such terrifying strength. Lu Tian also stared at Jian Chen in shock. His face was filled with disbelief. According to what he understood, Jian Chen was nowhere near as powerful as this. Lu Tian, I let you escape last time. I'd like to see how you escape this time. Jian Chen stared at Lu Tian coldly. His voice was icy cold and filled with heavy killing intent. Ando Fu, you keep Mo Ling busy. Datura, let's handle him together, Lu Tian called out to Datura in the distance. Lu Tian, no one can save you today, Jian Chen said coldly. Wielding the flying snow sword, he directly stabbed towards Lu Tian. The attack was simple and ordinary, without any special tricks. However, when he stabbed out, the attack seemed to hide the endless mysteries of the world inside, where the entire world seemed to lose its color before the strike, making it the only existence in the surroundings. This was the power of the laws of the sword. Jian Chen's current laws of the sword were no longer at the major achievement of sword origin. Instead, they were at great perfection. The major achievement of sword origin was equivalent to mid-god, while Jian Chen's breakthrough in his comprehensions had elevated his laws to late god. Lu Tian became extremely grim. Origin energy surged out wildly from his body, mixing with the laws of fire. He poured all the power he could use right now into his sword, causing it to immediately flare up. He swung out as hard as he could to receive Jian Chen's attack. Ding! The two swords collided and immediately produced a screeching of metal. The flying snow sword immediately began to shine brightly, exploding with surging sword chi. The sword chi directly dispersed Lu Tian's laws of fire. Even his god-level origin energy rapidly dispersed before the laws of the sword. The flying snow sword knocked Lu Tian's sword out of his hand before continuing without weakening at all, driving straight into Lu Tian's chest. Spurt. Lu Tian vomited blood as he became extremely pale. He retreated in a horrible shape. However, as he retreated, his hands constantly formed seals before he bellowed out, blazing the heavens. The laws of fire in the surroundings rapidly condensed. At that moment, a sea of fire filled the entire sky, turning the surroundings into a world of fire. The temperature skyrocketed rapidly. At that moment, the entire world seemed to become filled with fire. It scorched the space until it distorted as if it became a formation that trapped Chen to slaughter him. Chen kept his cool and remained composed. He swept his flying snow sword through space, immediately making it explode with light. It shot through the air with lightning speed as a streak of light. Rumble. Dazzling sword chi weaved between the flames, producing a thunder-like boom. The sea of fire began to disperse. A single blow from Chen had destroyed Lu Tian's battle skill. Impossible, this is impossible. You weren't my opponent a few months ago. It's impossible for your strength to increase so much in such a short amount of time, Lu Tian roared out. Chen had become so powerful that he was no longer his opponent. Lu Tian could not accept this. Chapter 17:16. Lu Tian's death on the other side. Ando Fu also swore to himself secretly. Didn't Lu Tian say that this person could only put up a fight against a god barely? How is he so powerful? How is that barely? That's complete domination. This person is so powerful that he even managed to break through Lu Tian's truth-tier battle skill so easily. Seeing how leisurely he did it, even if the three of us work together, we won't be his opponent, let alone the fact that there's still Mo Ling as well. Lu Tian, you've screwed me over, thought poison god Datura. At that moment, her hatred for Lu Tian had reached a point of no return. Opposite to the two of them, Mo Ling chuckled happily instead. He was extremely excited and at ease. Around a dozen banners had appeared in Lu Tian's hand. Gritting his teeth, he tossed them towards Chen. Each formation banner radiated with powerful pulses of energy, quickly falling into formation around Chen. Lu Tian's heart ached when he threw out the banners. He had purchased them from the royal city, and they were enough to trap and kill early gods with ease. They would even pose a certain degree of threat to mid-gods. He had originally bought them to deal with Mo Ling, but he never thought he would be forced to use them on Chen. The space before Chen suddenly changed and the familiar surroundings disappeared silently. The chaotic formation space replaced it, filled with terrifying killing intent. The way of slaughter? A thought crossed Chen's head. He was not unfamiliar with this presence. He had sensed it from the white tiger before. It was the way of slaughter that the white tiger had grasped at the origin realm. Suddenly, strands of chi appeared in the surroundings, condensing into force of slaughter. They chopped towards Chen with an icy-cold killing intent, moving extremely quickly. The formation space would ripple wherever they passed by. The person who created this set of formation banners should have comprehended the way of slaughter as well, except the formation is a little weak. It's more than enough to deal with early gods, but it can't pose much of a threat to me, Chen murmured. He made his way through the formation space calmly as he raised the flying snow sword high above his head. Laws of the sword surged and condensed, forming a 300-meter-long ray of light, which he then cleaved forwards with. The attack was extremely powerful, and it was basically enough to even cleave the sky in half. As he swung out, the entire formation space trembled violently while the force of slaughter that surged towards Chen was completely dispersed as the sword chi swept past. Crack. 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 At the same time, the formation space produced a collapsing sound. The dozen or so formation banners had all become covered in cracks. Before long, they were all reduced to dust. A single strike had destroyed the formation that could slay early gods. After reaching the great perfection of the laws of the sword, my sky-severing strike has become drastically more powerful as well. Although the sword technique is not of a high grade, I just happen to be able to use the full power of this sword technique with my current comprehension of the way of the sword. However, once I reach sword spirit, the sword technique definitely won't be that helpful to me anymore, thought Chen. He wielded the flying snow sword high in the air as his white clothes ruffled. He radiated with a certain sharpness. Currently, he no longer seemed ordinary. Instead, he seemed like a drawn, divine sword. Especially when everyone saw how indomitable he seemed, it became a form of deterrence, filling everyone's gaze towards him with fear, dread, admiration, and so on. Lu Tian's expression became extremely ugly. With a wave of his hand, he threw out another set of formation banners, creating a killing formation to kill Jian Chen. He had also bought this formation from the royal city for a great price. Originally, he planned to use it against Ando Fu after they destroyed the Mo clan. Soon afterwards, a palm-sized, grey dagger appeared in Lu Tian's hand. With a thought, the grey dagger immediately pulsed with destructive energy, shooting into the formation as a streak of blackness. The grey dagger was worth more than the 2 sets of formations because it was a consumable treasure that could unleash the full-powered attack of a mid-god. It also possessed one of the most offensive laws among the 3,000 laws, the laws of destruction. If the dagger was used correctly, it could kill an early god with a single strike. He had also prepared it for Ando Fu originally, but he ended up using everything he had prepared against Jian Chen instead before they had even destroyed the Mo clan. After using all his trump cards, Lu Tian stared nervously at Jian Chen, who was trapped in the formation. He really was prepared in this operation against the Mo clan. He had purchased 2 formations from the royal city, where any one of them could claim the life of an early god. He had even bought a dagger with the laws of destruction, which was even deadlier. Even Lu Tian himself had no confidence in guarding against the dagger if it was used against him. He had not even prepared all these trump cards for the Mo clan but just to kill Ando Fu. However, he had never thought that Jian Chen would actually be so powerful, completely destroying his plans. Ando Fu secretly nodded to himself as he saw how Lu Tian had prepared so many trump cards to destroy the Mo clan. He thought to himself, Lu Tian really does think through his actions. I thought he would only prepare a single trump card, but he has prepared 3 instead. He really is willing to pay the price to destroy the Mo clan. If it were not for an unaccounted variable like Jian Chen, the Mo clan really would have been destroyed. Boom! Suddenly, a rumble rang out and the second formation used against Jian Chen shattered as well. Jian Chen emerged as he basked in a bright layer of light, appearing unscathed before everyone. The presence from the laws of destruction dispersed around him. Lu Tian's heart immediately sank. Jian Chen was just too powerful. Lu Tian had used all his trump cards, yet he struggled to harm him at all. Lu Tian was heavily injured right now, so he was even less of an opponent. Swish! With a flash of light, Jian Chen's flying snow sword was swung out with a flash. It struck Lu Tian's waist, bisecting him mercilessly. Lu Tian groaned and immediately turned around. He grabbed the lower half of his body as he fled quickly. At the same time, he shoved various pills into his mouth. However, Datura suddenly appeared before Lu Tian. She called out coldly, Lu Tian, how dare you try to kill me? Even if I die here today, I'll take your life with my own hands. With that, the wooden staff in her hand stabbed towards Lu Tian's head. Spurt! Lu Tian's head was immediately penetrated. Vicious poison began to spread, melting his head into a bloody mess in the blink of an eye. However, Lu Tian did not die because of that. His soul had managed to escape, but it was contaminated with a sliver of green poison. Datura, you bitch! Lu Tian's soul bellowed out furiously as hatred filled his eyes. Under the corrosion of the poison, his soul rapidly dispersed. Humph, you can't blame me. You can only blame the fact that you had ill intentions. You wanted to eliminate me, so why would I go easy on you? Do you really think I fear you? Datura said coldly. Bitch, I curse you to die a horrible death. Lu Tian's soul bellowed out angrily and with great unwillingness before directly dispersing in the surroundings. Jian Chen watched on coldly from the side. He did not stop Datura from killing Lu Tian. He did not bear any intense hatred towards Lu Tian. Lu Tian only needed to die to protect the secret of the twin swords. It did not matter who killed him. Senior, I only came here after Lu Tian tricked me. I have no intentions of disrespecting Senior. I hope Senior can be the bigger person and spare me. Datura clasped her fist towards Jian Chen after killing Lu Tian. However, before Jian Chen replied, she turned around and fled, leaving as quickly as she could. She did not dare to take Lu Tian's space ring, leaving it where it was. In her eyes, if Jian Chen did not want to kill her, he would not chase her either. If he did want to kill her, she would flee for a little first. Once Jian Chen really began to pursue her, she would have plenty of time to use a life-protecting skill and pay a certain price to leave the place. After all, she was not Lu Tian. Lu Tian had already become spent, unable to flee before Jian Chen even if he wanted to. On the other hand, she was still at her peak condition. Ando Fu did not dare to stay any longer either when he saw Datura flee. He turned into a wisp of wind and fled as quickly as he could. He was much faster than Datura. Brother Jian Chen, we can't allow Ando Fu to escape. Mo Ling could not catch up, so he could only ask Jian Chen for help. Ando Fu had comprehended the laws of wind, so there were barely any people with similar cultivation levels who could catch up to him if he fled for his life. Jian Chen's gaze turned cold. Even without Mo Ling's reminder, he would not allow Ando Fu to escape. After all, the third piece of God King Duanmu's jade was still in Ando Fu's hands. Once Ando Fu escaped, he would definitely leave the Ando clan. The saint's world was so vast, so looking for him would be almost impossible by then. Haha. Mo Ling, I admit defeat in this battle, but just your Mo clan doesn't have the ability to make me stay. Although I'm only an early god, even late gods may not necessarily catch up to me. Ando Fu shot off instantly. Just as he was about to disappear into the horizon, his voice rang out loudly, booming through the Mo clan thunderously. Jian Chen's face became rather strange when he heard that. He sneered and called out, "Linear lightning release." Chapter 17:17. Reaching an agreement. Jian Chen became a streak of light after he spoke, catching up to Ando Fu who had already vanished with unbelievable speed. At that moment, Jian Chen had pushed his speed to the limit. Not only had he exceeded the point where he was no longer visible to the naked eye, but even the souls of early gods would only be able to capture a blur. Even with Mo Ling's strength, all he managed to sense with his soul was a blurry streak of white light with how fast Jian Chen was moving right now. Heavens, what speed! Mo Ling cried out. He was filled with shock from just how fast Jian Chen was moving right now. This speed had really made him seem like a bolt of lightning, or even faster than a bolt of lightning. Even though the laws of wind comprehended by Ando Fu were not necessarily the fastest in the world, they were known to be able to reach extreme speeds. Very few people could catch up to people who used the laws of wind when they fled. However, Ando Fu's laws of wind seemed as slow as a turtle before Jian Chen's linear lightning release. In less than a second, in fact, in just a mere moment, Jian Chen had caught up to Ando Fu. No, this is impossible. How can he be so fast? Ando Fu's face immediately changed when his soul sensed Jian Chen charging up towards him. He was filled with shock. As soon as he thought of how fast he was, Jian Chen caught up in a flash. Ando Fu could even clearly sense the pressing sword intent from behind him. He was fast. So fast that Ando Fu did not even have enough time to consider fleeing. Jian Chen had driven through him the moment a thought appeared in his head. He had passed through Ando Fu with both his sword and body. It was an extremely terrifying sight to behold. Spurt. Ando Fu constantly vomited blood as he became sheet white instantly. He became haggard while a bowl-sized hole had appeared in his chest. His flesh and organs had completely vanished, and strands of sword chi flickered around the wound. Jian Chen had passed through Ando Fu's chest. Logically speaking, it was impossible for Jian Chen to leave behind a bowl-sized hole with his body size, but Jian Chen had simply moved too quickly. He moved so fast that even the space around him had been affected, elongating his body, which was why Ando Fu's wound was only bowl-sized. Ando Fu was extremely shocked. He stared at Jian Chen in fear as he became speechless. Laws of wind condensed around him as he tried to deal with the laws of the sword in his wounds. If the laws of the sword continued to wreak havoc, his condition would rapidly worsen. The lightning vanished in the distance and revealed Chen's figure. His clothes and hair fluttered in the wind while the flying snow sword flew over slowly as well. He stared at Ando Fu coldly and said, "Your laws of wind are fast, but my sword technique is faster. Do you still think you can escape before my sword technique?" "May I ask what sword technique this is?" Ando Fu asked with a trembling voice. He was in a rather disheveled condition. He had never thought that Chen would be so impressive. Not only did he possess shocking strength where even Tian could not fight back, but he also possessed such speed. Ando Fu could not defeat him or even escape. The linear lightning release, Chen responded emotionlessly. The linear lightning release, the linear lightning release. It really is the speed of lightning, Ando Fu murmured. He was in a horrible condition, making him seem like a beggar. He no longer possessed an immortal's bearing anymore. However, Ando Fu's face changed soon after. He stared at Chen coldly, and his expression flickered as he said, "You can't kill me. If I die, the news of God King Duanmu's jade will immediately be broadcasted. It'll spread across the Dong'an province as soon as possible, and it might even reach the other provincial cities in the divine kingdom of Tian. Our Dong'an province doesn't have any overgods, but among the 36 provinces of the divine kingdom of Tian, 5 provincial cities do. Aside from them, there are plenty of overgods in the royal city as well. If they receive this news, they'll rush over. If you want to keep God King Duanmu's jade a secret, you cannot kill me." Chen snorted coldly. He directed the flying snow sword to Ando Fu's forehead and said coldly, "Why should I believe you? And even if you've made arrangements, as long as the news of your death doesn't make it out, news of God King Duanmu's jade will never be revealed to the outside world. Once I die, the piece of jade bound to my life will shatter. The person I have prepared will know even if the news does not make it out," said Ando Fu. "Brother Chen, please stay your hand." Mo Ling's voice rang out from afar and he arrived before Chen quickly. He stared at Chen with extremely mixed emotions and said with much politeness, "Brother Chen, you still can't kill Ando Fu. What he said is true. Once he dies, the news of God King Duanmu's jade will immediately be broadcasted. It'll be extremely detrimental to us." Chen frowned. Tian has already died. Wouldn't the news about God King Duanmu's jade be leaked by the person Tian prepared? Mo Ling's eyebrows were locked together. He said, "Our Mo clan has been secretly investigating this matter as well in the past few years, but we only found out that the Ando clan had made preparations. It's just like what Ando Fu said. Once he dies, the piece of jade bound to his life will shatter, and the person with the news will spread it quickly. It's just that our Mo clan never found the person who carried the information. As for whether the Lu family has prepared something similar to us, I do not know because we've failed to find anything in all these years of investigating." Chen slowly put down the flying snow sword and said to Ando Fu, "I won't kill you, so hand over the piece of God King Duanmu's jade your clan possesses, as well as all your clan's wealth." Ando Fu's eyes widened, and he said furiously, "You even want all the wealth of my clan? Aren't you asking for too much? That's what my clan uses just to remain stable. I can give you God King Duanmu's jade, as well as keep it a secret for you, but I can't give you all the wealth of my clan. Which one is more important, your life and everyone in your clan, or your clan's wealth? I think you know which one is more important. If you want your Ando clan to keep existing, hand up all the wealth obediently, or I'll kill you right now. After that, I will go to your clan and obtain everything you own anyway. You've already organized someone to leak information about God King Duanmu's jade once you die, but this might have been leaked by the Lu family already. It's no longer important whether you end up leaking the news or not," Chen said coldly. Ando Fu became uneasy. The light in his eyes flickered with uncertainty for a while before he gritted his teeth and made up his mind. "All right, I can give you all the wealth of my clan, but you have to guarantee that you don't touch my clan." Ando Fu had no other choices either. He could slowly make back the wealth of his clan, but once his clan was gone, he was dead, and he really would lose everything. Even if he still possessed his shocking wealth, he would not have the life to spend it. Chen smiled. As long as your clan doesn't do anything strange, I obviously won't harm them. However, you'll have to stay with me for now. Booms rang out in the distance. Several 100,000 kilometers away from the Mo clan, poison god Datura attacked a formation furiously. Goddamn Lu Tian. I should have never agreed to your request. The formation you've cast down has sealed off this entire space. You said you set this down to stop the people of the Mo clan from fleeing, but you've trapped me here as well. I can't get out if I don't get through it. Chapter 17:18, Urgency. Poison god Datura swore out loud. Even though she had personally taken Lu Tian's life, her hatred for Lu Tian still lingered in her heart as he had forced her to such a state. At this moment, she no longer held back. She used her full strength, basically barraging the formation that blocked her path wildly. She used various secret techniques and battle skills constantly, causing the surroundings to rumble and the air to be filled with intense poison. Suddenly, her face changed abruptly. She cried out, "Oh no, that person has actually caught up to Ando Fu. What is this terrifying speed? Even my soul can only capture a blur." Datura was extremely shocked. She had kept her soul expanded, so she obviously saw Chen catch up to Ando Fu. No wonder that person called Chen didn't pursue me. I had thought he was going to let me off, but from the looks of the current situation, he was simply not worried at all that I would flee with his terrifying speed. In addition, Lu Tian's formation has sealed up this space, so I can't escape even when I want to, Datura thought quickly. She gritted her teeth and determination flooded her eyes. She threw out her wooden staff painfully and formed a seal with both hands. She called out, "Explode." After she said that, the wooden staff immediately exploded loudly. The formation up ahead immediately cracked when the vicious shockwave of energy struck it. Datura's eyes lit up. Without any hesitation, she used a secret technique and burned her own vital essence to become a blur and flee through the crack. She did not dare to pause for even a single moment afterwards, continuing to flee into the distance as quickly as she had ever moved. The god invited by Lu Tian has actually fled. Ando Fu, does she know about God King Duanmu's jade? Mo Ling asked as he stared in the direction which Datura had fled in. Ando Fu had already surrendered, so he was basically a prisoner now. He replied, "That woman doesn't know about God King Duanmu's jade. In fact, she had some grievances with Lu Tian a few years ago. Lu Tian asked her to come this time because he wanted to use the Mo clan to eliminate her." Jian glanced in the direction which Datura had fled off into and did not mind the matter too much. He said to Mo Ling, "Brother Mo Ling, let's go back. Although we don't know whether Lu Tian has made any arrangements, I do believe that he was prepared to leak the information regarding God King Duanmu's jade." "As you wish," Mo Ling clasped his fist towards Jian. After he witnessed Jian's terrifying strength, he could not help but treat Jian politely as if he was his master. Jian and Mo Ling immediately left, flying off towards the Mo clan. Ando Fu followed beside the two of them with a haggard face. When Jian and Mo Ling returned to the Mo clan had already calmed down. Although the protective barrier was still activated, the people of the two clans who attacked the Mo clan before had left long ago. Clearly, they had all fled when they saw that their gods were defeated. The patriarch of the Mo clan watched Mo Ling and Jian return. He immediately became extremely ecstatic, immediately flying out of the barrier. "Ancestor, you've finally returned. How's the situation?" He glanced past the disheveled Ando Fu as he spoke. A strange light flashed through his eyes. With his perceptiveness, he could naturally tell many things from Ando Fu's expression, which made him extremely excited. "Xingfeng, send the orders to get everyone in the Mo clan to hunt down the remaining people of the Lu family. Lu Tian has sealed up a region of 1,000,000 kilometers, so the people of the Lu family can't escape," Mo Ling said coldly. Yes, ancestor. The patriarch was overjoyed. He immediately went off to organize the hunt. Afterwards, Mo Ling said to Ando Fu, leave the people of your Ando clan to me. There's no need for you to pass on any commands you need to pass. Mo Ling naturally handled the cleanup after the battle. Jian Chen directly made his way before the bloodied Shen Jian. After checking his wounds, he immediately carried Shen Jian to the 7th hall. Along the way, everyone in the Mo clan, whether it was the elders, the members of the upper echelon, or the guards, bowed towards Jian Chen and Shen Jian politely. In particular, the elders gazed at Jian Chen with many mixed emotions. The absolute strength that Jian Chen had displayed today shocked them all. Shiyu became especially conflicted. She had objected to Mo Yen saving the two of them in the past. After Jian Chen woke up in the Mo clan, she had even asked them to leave personally. If it were not for Mo Yen pleading for them to stay, they probably would have left the Mo clan long ago. Last time, when she broke through to late deity, she had responded to Jian Chen's congratulations without any particular enthusiasm, as she believed that he was an origin realm cultivator. As such, there was obviously no need for her to pay any particular attention to him. However, only now did she discover in shock that Jian Chen was actually so powerful. Lu Tian, someone who was the ancestor of quite a large organization and an early god, could not even fight back against him. Shiyu was completely taken aback by this. Jian Chen's posture back then, where his white clothes and hair fluttered in the wind while he wielded the flying snow sword, had become permanently embedded in her mind. Since you're so powerful, why do you act like no one special? You don't possess the bearing or dignity of an expert at all. Even when the Origin Realm guards looked down on you, you did not become angered at all. Did you really not mind it? Shiyu gazed at the 7th hall as her feelings became extremely mixed. Even when early gods stand before you, they can only die when you want them to, and it doesn't take any effort at all. With your strength, even wiping out the Mo clan would be a piece of cake. It's impossible for the ancestor to be your opponent. You are so great, so is there any reason for you to share similar thoughts as the ant-like people in the clan? You don't care at all. Shen Jian consumed the medicine that Mo Ling had delivered as he sat on his jade bed to heal in the 7th hall. After learning the situation in detail, Shen Jian also became grim. He said, Lu Tian's an old fox. He's sly and cunning. He actually invited a god to block your profound sword chi. How is it possible for someone like him to not be prepared? He must have made the same preparations as the Mo clan and the Ando clan. People of the Lu family have probably already leaked the news about God King Duanmu's jade with his death. That's what I was thinking as well. I'll immediately visit the Lu family while we still have the time and take all their wealth. Once I get all the wealth of the Lu family and the Ando clan, we'll use the 3 pieces of jade to open God King Duanmu's dwelling, said Jian Chen. Chapter 1719, The Frenzy in the Provincial City. Very soon, Jian Chen emerged from the 7th hall. He planned to visit the Lu family immediately to collect their wealth. Although the ancestor and most of the Lu family's elders had taken part in the operation against the Mo clan, the patriarch of the Lu family did not take part. As the patriarch of a clan, he must possess quite the number of divine crystals. Besides that, basically all large clans possessed their own treasuries. Most of their wealth would be stored there, and they would pour the entire clan's power into protecting it. Generally, all the cultivation resources like divine crystals would be stored in the treasury, and it was unlikely to be with the ancestor. This was because divine crystals were a type of consumable that was often obtained and spent. It would come and go very often, while it was nothing special for the ancestor of a clan to enter seclusion for several thousand years or even more. If he carried around the divine crystals, it would be very inconvenient. If the divine crystals were placed on the patriarch, there would be the worry of the patriarch suffering an accident, and they would run the risk of a huge loss. As a result, many larger clans would not have a single person manage all the wealth. Instead, they would store it in a special treasury protected by formations, making it extremely safe. When Jian Chen emerged from the 7th hall, all the elders of the Mo clan had already been mobilized to hunt down the remaining forces of the Lu family. Even Mo Ling had personally gone forth to deal with the elders of the Lu family, while the people of the Ando clan who had fled before were all gathered in an empty region outside the Mo clan. They were all dejected and haggard. To no surprise, Ando Fu was among them. Clearly, they had learnt that their Ando clan had suffered defeat. They had basically become prisoners. Even the ancestor of the Ando clan could not change the situation. A gleam of light flashed through Jian Chen's eyes when he saw Ando Fu. He could not leave Ando Fu here, just in case he caused a large disturbance once Jian Chen left for the Lu family. After all, once Jian Chen left, there would be no one left to keep him suppressed. He might even abandon his own clansmen to flee. Even though he was heavily injured, Mo Ling still could not catch up to him if he fled. Ando Fu, come with me to the Ando clan, Jian Chen said to Ando Fu. His original destination of the Lu family was now changed to the Ando clan. Ando Fu was dejected. He nodded slowly and did not say too much. He directly led Jian Chen to the Ando clan so that he could give Jian Chen all his clan's wealth. Brother Mo Ling, I'm going to the Ando clan first. I'll have to trouble you with collecting the wealth of the Lu family. At the same time, Jian Chen sent a message to Mo Ling, don't worry, brother Jian Chen, leave it to me. Several tens of thousand kilometers away, Mo Ling directly slew the last elder of the Lu family with lightning speed before replying to Jian Chen. He flew towards the Lu family with Shi Yu and another elder of the Mo clan. Even though the Lu family still possessed two deities, they had lost all their gods, so even with their protective formations that were similar to the Mo clans, Mo Ling could enter before the formation was activated and slaughter all of them. Jian Chen, Ando Fu, and Mo Ling arrived before the formation cast down by Lu Tian 1,000,000 kilometers away. They did not immediately smash through the formation. Instead, they waited for a while and only attacked the formation after the Mo clan killed the remaining forces of the Lu family. They hurried off to the Ando clan and the Lu family. Clouds and mist shrouded the mountain range where the Ando clan was located, making it seem heavy. Beasts roamed the lands, while birds danced in the sky. It seemed like an otherworldly place. Even Jian Chen praised the landscape when he arrived at the Ando clan. He had to say that the Ando clan had done an extremely impressive job in this aspect. Jian Chen followed Ando Fu into the Ando clan. By now, Ando Fu had already recovered his immortal-like appearance. His condition had been temporarily stabilized after consuming some medicine. Although he had not recovered, at least his condition would stop worsening. As for Jian Chen, he had assumed a particularly low profile now. He followed Ando Fu closely as he entered the Ando clan, making him seem like Ando Fu's attendant instead. However, Jian Chen placed all his attention on Ando Fu, observing his actions closely to prevent him from doing anything strange. After all, this was the main base of the Ando clan. Jian Chen had to remain on guard. He was not afraid of any trouble, but he was afraid of Ando Fu escaping at this time. The Ando clan, Mo clan, and Lu family all once possessed Overgods, but Jian Chen had already learnt from Mo Ling that the three Overgods had devoted their lives to God King Duanmu's dwelling and did not place much emphasis on the clans they created. As a result, there was nothing in the three clans left behind by the Overgods. All the defenses of the clans had been added one by the descendants. Aside from the three founding ancestors, the clans had never given birth to another Overgod, or even a late god. As a result, their defenses were not particularly great. When Jian Chen entered the Ando clan, all 18 powerful clans that ruled over the distant provincial city of the Ando clan had gathered together. They had each sent a god ancestor, so a total of 18 gods had gathered together. They discussed how the high-grade divine crystal mine in the Dark Cloud Mountains should be divided with great intensity. Among the powerful clans of the Dong'an province, our Hua family, Dong family, and Nanyan clan are the most powerful. We all possess late gods, so we three clans should own the largest portion of the mine. Each clan will take 10% of the mine, a red-robed old man said at ease with squinted eyes. He was a god from one of the three most powerful clans in the Dong'an province, the Hua family. The three most powerful clans were not on good terms normally. In fact, they even fought against each other many times, but with the appearance of the high-grade divine crystal mine, the three clans all abandoned their past grievances and banded together so that they could benefit as much as possible. They all understood that the high-grade divine crystal mine was just too valuable. There was no organization in the entire Dong'an province that could take it entirely for themselves. Even when the three most powerful clans worked together, they only hoped to each gain 10% of the mine. There are a total of 18 organizations gathered here today. Your Hua family, Dong family, and Nanyan clan want to claim 30% in total, leaving 70% to be split between the other 15 clans. If you run the calculations, each clan won't even get 5% of the share. Our Jian family will be the first ones to disagree to a suggestion like that. The god of the Jian family immediately objected. He showed no fear at all towards the three clans. The three clans were powerful, but they only possessed a single late god at most. Just a single late god was not enough to reign supreme in the Dong'an province. Even if they worked together, they would not be able to fend off the 15 other powerful clans because all the gods from the 15 clans would be enough to crush the three most powerful clans. Even late gods could be kept busy by 2 to 3 mid-gods. Unless the three late gods possessed supreme battle prowess like the prodigies of large sects and clans, they would never fear them. The god from the Hua family did not become angered from the god from the Jian family's objection. The Jian family was an extremely powerful clan in the entire Dong'an province. Even though they were not one of the three most powerful clans, they had just as many gods as the three clans. They just did not have a late god. In my opinion, the high-grade divine crystal mine should be split fairly, another god said. He represented one of the weaker clans in the Dong'an province, but even as one of the weaker clans, they possessed three gods at the very least. Split fairly? You sure can come up with ideas. Your Kong family only has 3 early gods. Not only does our Dong family have a late god, we even have 2 mid-gods and 2 early gods. That's 5 gods in total. What right does it give your Kong family to take just as much as our Dong family? The god from the Dong family snorted coldly. After he said that, the expression of the god from the Dong family suddenly changed. With a flip of his hand, a jade talisman used for communication appeared in his hand. His face changed drastically when he learnt what had been sent to him. No longer paying attention to how the mine would be split, he immediately stood up and clasped his hands towards everyone present. He said, "Everyone, I have matters to attend to, so I will be leaving first. My Dong family will take part in the discussion about the mine some other day." With that, the god from the Dong family left in a hurry. Before the god from the Dong family could make it out of the hall, the gods from the Hua family and Nanyan clan also received messages. Their faces changed drastically, and they bid farewell to everyone present without any hesitation. After that, they left in a hurry. Afterwards, all the gods gathered their received messages as well. Without any exception, their faces changed once they received the news. They no longer bothered with the mine and left in a hurry. In the blink of an eye, the 18 powerful clans who were discussing how the mine would be split had all left. The majestic discussion hall fell quiet. The entire provincial city of the Dong'an province fell into a frenzied state as a piece of news was spread. A god king's dwelling has actually appeared in the Dong'an province. That's just unbelievable. Is this real or fake? I've heard of God King Duanmu. He's an extremely powerful god king. It's said that he reached the peak of God King and was only a single inch away from the primordial realm. What? God King Duanmu reached the peak of God King? Doesn't that mean he's even more powerful than the divine king of our divine kingdom of Ping Tian? Stop comparing the divine king to God King Duanmu. They're people on 2 completely different levels. If God King Duanmu began fighting with the divine king, he would be able to kill the divine king with a single hand because God King Duanmu was a supreme god king who made it onto the god king's throne. Although he failed to make it into the top 1000, he's still a supreme expert for making it onto the god king's throne. What? God King Duanmu even made it onto the God King's throne? It's said that countless peak God Kings have attempted the God King's throne, yet the number of people who actually make it up there are basically mythical existences. It's so difficult to make it up there that even a few prodigies have failed. Heavens! Such a great God King's dwelling has actually appeared in our Dong'an province. This is just unbelievable. Hurry up and go find the Mo clan and the Ando clan. It's said that the people of the two clans know where God King Duanmu's dwelling is, and they possess the key to God King Duanmu's dwelling. Chapter 1720. Uproar. The Mo clan and the Ando clan were not the only ones who had made prior arrangements about the information regarding God King Duanmu's jade. The Lu family had also made similar preparations. Soon after Lu Tian's death, the news of God King Duanmu's jade caused an uproar in the Dong'an province. Even for a smaller provincial city like the one in Dong'an province that did not even possess a single overgod, the sudden news of a God King's dwelling really was hard to believe for a few people. There were even many people who doubted the validity of the matter and wondered if someone had nothing better to do than to tell tall tales. However, there were also some people who believed in the news vehemently, leaving the provincial city as soon as possible to go to the Mo clan and the Ando clan. Many of the people among them were at reciprocity. At the same time, there were a few deities and even gods. However, these gods did not belong to the powerful clans of the Dong'an province. They were gods who came from other places. Although they knew that they would not be able to participate in the fight for fortune even if the news of God King Duanmu's dwelling was true, they were unable to hold back their curiosity and were unable to stop themselves from heading there to have a look. At the same time, there were quite a few people among them who wanted to try their luck. News of God King Duanmu's dwelling has appeared in the Dong'an province. Pass this on to the clan immediately. Immediately report the matter to the patriarch. God King Duanmu is a supreme God King. Once you obtain God King Duanmu's legacy, your strength will definitely skyrocket. Even without his legacy, just the treasure he has left behind will be enough to rival kingdoms. If someone in the Dong'an province obtains God King Duanmu's treasure, an overgod will definitely appear in the Dong'an province, and they might even become a God King. No, the treasure can't end up with the people of the Dong'an province. Quite a few cultivators from various other regions who had come to the provincial city reported the news of God King Duanmu's jade to their superiors. They did not dare to waste any time at all, regardless of whether the matter was true or false. At the same time, all the gods in the 18 powerful clans of the provincial city emerged from seclusion at the same time. Even a few gods who were out journeying hurried back after receiving the news. Immediately send people to the Mo clan and the Ando clan to investigate the validity of this matter. Immediately investigate this. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not, just investigate it. Go now and come back as soon as possible. Deities are too slow. It'll take quite some time for them to travel, so get gods to go personally. Basically all the powerful clans in the Dong'an province passed the same orders at that moment. Even though many of them were doubtful towards the news, they were unable to remain composed before the news either. They were afraid it was true. 3 powerful presences permeated the dark cloud mountains, enveloping the entire place. Each presence had reached the level of God. The Hua family, Dong family, and Nanyan clan, the 3 most powerful clans of the Dong'an province, had stationed 3 gods here. Even though they were only early gods, not a single petty thief considered robbing the place with their presence. A God King's dwelling has appeared in the Dong'an province? And the key and exact location of the dwelling is in the hands of the Mo clan and the Ando clan? At this moment, the eyes of the 3 gods snapped open at the same time. Clearly, they had received the news from the provincial city. Without any hesitation, they immediately hurried off to the Mo clan and the Ando clan. A dignified, middle-aged man in luxurious robes had lost his temper in a grand manner within the provincial city. Who is it? Who leaked the news of God King Duanmu? Tell me, Jian. What is this all about? Why has it become like this? All the preparation I made across all these years have all gone down the drain. A black-clothed man stood before the middle-aged man. He seemed to have fused with the darkness, making it difficult to detect his presence without a careful glance. Patriarch, if I've guessed correctly, it should be the Lu family that leaked it, said the man. The Liu family? Impossible. Why would the Liu family leak something so important to them? The middle-aged man inquired loudly as his entire body trembled. Patriarch, the operation of the Liu family and the Ando clan against the Mo clan failed. Instead, the Liu family was defeated, and the Ando clan was captured. Liu Tian fell in battle. I am guessing that the news has been leaked due to the arrangements that Liu Tian made beforehand. He did this to stop the Mo clan and Ando clan from assembling God King Duanmu's pieces of jade together selfishly, said Jian. What? Liu Tian and the Ando clan banded together against the Mo clan? Jian, why didn't you tell me something so important sooner? The middle-aged man had completely lost his temper. He no longer possessed his usual bearing. The Liu family and the Ando clan have been extremely cautious with their movements against the Mo clan. The people we've set up in their clans had no opportunity to pass on this information. I've only learned about this recently as well, said Jian. God damn it. The middle-aged man paced back and forth in his room. His face became terrifyingly sunken as he complained, I knew about God King Duanmu's jade long ago. With our clan's strength, getting the 3 pieces of jade from the 3 clans would take no effort at all. I just didn't want to raise the attention of the other clans in the Dong'an province, so I was never bold enough to move against the 3 clans openly, moving secretly in an attempt to obtain the 3 pieces of jade without raising anyone's attention. I never thought that the news of the jade would be leaked instead and spread like wildfire, making it the talk of the town. It's driving me insane. The middle-aged man became more and more angered as he spoke. He directly slammed his hand on the table before him out of frustration, reducing the valuable piece of furniture to dust. He was filled with regret. If he had not worried so much that the other clans would learn about God King Duanmu's jade, the 3 pieces of jade would have ended up in his hands long ago. Patriarch, the ancestor wishes to see you. At this moment, a female servant's voice rang out. The middle-aged man rapidly suppressed his anger when he heard that the ancestor wanted to see him and immediately left the place. Chapter 1721, ready to enter the dwelling very soon, the middle-aged man entered a grand hall. The hall was empty, with only 4 white-robed individuals of various ages seated in the air. The presences they gave off had all reached God. Wainer Yi greets the 4 great-grandfathers. The middle-aged man bowed towards the 4 gods. He was extremely polite. Xiao Yi, there's news of a god king's dwelling appearing in the Dong'an province. As the patriarch of the family, you have been paying attention to the news of the outside world all the time, so in terms of knowledge of current affairs, you would know much more than us who spend all our time in seclusion. Tell us, is the news true? A god asked. Wainer Yi became flustered when he heard that. He immediately clasped his hands and said, Ancestor, it's completely true, without any inaccuracies regarding the God King's dwelling. Our Wainer clan must go to the Mo clan as soon as possible and not waste any time at all. The expressions of the 4 gods all changed when they heard that. The 4 gods all became interested as desire began to burn in their eyes. Xiao Yi, what did you say? The news of God King Duanmu's dwelling is completely true? There's really a God King's dwelling hidden in our Dong'an province? How did you verify this? God King Duanmu's dwelling is indeed real. Great-grandfathers, let's move immediately. I'll tell you the exact details slowly on the way there, Wainer Yi said rather urgently. The 4 gods calmed down very quickly, and the burning desire in their eyes gradually vanished, replaced by grimness. They murmured, it's actually true. That's not good then. The news of this dwelling has already caused a commotion in the city, and the city is a gathering place of all sorts of people. Many people come from different provinces or even other divine kingdoms. They'll definitely spread the news. A God King's dwelling is enough to draw in Overgods, let alone the fact that it's a supreme God King's dwelling. The other organizations don't necessarily believe that the news is true. Even if it has garnered their attention, they'll just send some people to verify it first. It's impossible for them to discern the reality of the matter just from a single piece of information. As a result, we should grasp the opportunity and be the first. That's right, we can still be first. Quick, don't tarry. We must move right now and hurry to the Mo clan at full speed. It's just a pity that Xiao Yan still hasn't returned, or our Wainer clan would be a little stronger. Sigh, I wonder how Xiao Yan is right now. He's the most talented person in our Wainer clan, reaching early god with just 30,000 years of cultivation and mid-god in just another 5,000 years. It has been almost 10,000 years since he went out journeying. Afterwards, the 4 gods left the clan with Wainer Yi. They flew towards the Mo clan as fast as possible while Wainer Yi told everything he had learned across the years to the 4 ancestors along the way. Jian Chen, Ando Fu, and Mo Ling had all returned to the Mo clan now. They regrouped in the Mo clan. Brother Jian Chen, this is all the wealth of the Lu family. I have even collected the space rings of all the elders and Origin Realm clansmen who attacked our Mo clan. They're all in there, so please check it. Mo Ling passed a space ring to Jian Chen. Jian Chen accepted the space ring and sent his soul inside. As expected, several thousand space rings lay in there quietly. Jian Chen had already understood that the Lu family had probably been wiped out by Mo Ling. Jian Chen accepted the space ring. All the wealth from the Lu family and the Ando clan were gathered on him right now, so even without saying, just the divine crystals would have reached an astronomical count. Brother Mo Ling, I say that we enter God King Duanmu's dwelling immediately just in case the information about God King Duanmu's jade has been leaked, Jian Shen said to Mo Ling. I concur. However, please wait for a little, Brother Jian Chen. I'll immediately go settle the matters of the clan. Entering this time will be very different from before. If the news of God King Duanmu's jade really has been leaked, the powerful clans of the province will definitely trouble our clansmen if they can't find us. As a result, I need to disperse everyone so that everyone can hide for themselves. Whether they can avoid this disaster will be up to their fates, Mo Ling said sternly before immediately proceeding to settle the matter. Jian Chen nodded. Mo Ling seemed like a man of brawn, but he was not stupid. He had also made similar arrangements to Ando Fu. Ando Fu had also dispersed his entire clan when he led Jian Chen to his clan, allowing all his people to flee for themselves. Clearly, they could not bring everyone into God King Duanmu's dwelling this time. Only deity elders could enter. Although they could use storage devices to protect all their clansmen, God King Duanmu's dwelling was not necessarily safe. Once they came across danger, everyone could end up dead. As a result, they had no choice but to leave everyone outside. Father, great-grandfather, you're all leaving, so what do I do? Sister Shiyu, will I ever see you again in the future? Sob, Mo Yan's cries rang out in the Mo clan. She currently clung onto the patriarch's arm as tears rolled down her face. She did not want them to go and was extremely sad. Yenner, listen to Dad. Find a place to hide properly. Dad and your sister Shiyu are going to an extremely dangerous place with great-grandfather. Even your great-grandfather won't be able to protect you there. As a matter of fact, it's even possible for your great-grandfather to die despite his strength. This is why we don't want to bring you with us, the patriarch comforted her in spite of his reluctance as well. He had no idea whether he would still be able to see his treasured daughter once they parted today. Although he had entered God King Duanmu's dwelling a few times, he still felt a lingering fear in regards to the dangers inside. Although Mo Yan would run the risk of being captured by another clan if she stayed outside, it was clearly still much safer than entering God King Duanmu's dwelling. Once you leave, I'll be all alone. Then what do I do? Mo Yan sobbed painfully as if she had become an orphan abandoned by her parents. She was filled with helplessness and pitifulness. Miss Mo Yan, don't panic. Your father won't take you in, but I will. At this moment, a warm voice rang out. Jian Chen walked over with a smile. Chapter 1722, Changes to the Situation. Mo Yan seemed to have seen a sliver of light in the gloom when she heard Jian Chen's words. She immediately became hopeful. Is that true? You're really willing to take me along with you? Mo Yan looked at Jian Chen excitedly. Jian Chen nodded with a smile. I can take you with me, but you have to understand that the place we're going to right now is extremely dangerous, so I can't leave you outside. You have to listen to me and stay in my divine hall obediently. I can only ensure your safety like that." Chen did not care about the other people of the Mo clan, but he had to take Mo Yen with him into God King Duanmu's dwelling. She would probably be doomed if she remained outside with her strength at sainthood. She was also the patriarch's daughter, so if the powerful clans in the Dong'an province learned about God King Duanmu's dwelling, she would not be able to escape. Without much delay, everyone in the clan disguised themselves and dispersed. Even though all of them were doubtful, they knew that the Mo clan was facing unprecedented trouble since the ancestor wanted them to disperse like mist and hide. 4 hours later, the entire Mo clan was emptied. All the clansmen had left and only a few elders and the patriarch were left. They all hovered in the sky as they had watched everything unfold with mixed feelings. "Brother Chen, let's go," Mo Ling said to Chen. Chen glanced past Mo Yen. With a wave of his hand, the bright moon divine hall immediately appeared from nowhere, hanging in the sky as a huge divine hall. The appearance of the divine hall immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Whether it was the elders of the Mo clan or the Ando clan, they all stared at the structure with much interest. They all wondered why Chen carried such a fragile divine hall despite the great strength he possessed. This was because the elders could all tell with a single glance that the bright moon divine hall was not tough. Even Origin Realm cultivators could smash through the divine hall, while just the shockwaves from a fight between godhood experts could reduce it to pieces. It was just fragile. "Miss Mo Yen, please remain in the divine hall for some time," Chen said to Mo Yen. At the same time, the door of the divine hall slowly opened. "Chen, you have to let me out once you get to a safe place, or I'll suffocate to death in there," said Mo Yen before bidding farewell to the patriarch and Shiyu. She pouted and made her way into the bright moon divine hall reluctantly. The patriarch opened his mouth. He wanted to say that he had an even better storage treasure that could withstand several attacks from deities without being destroyed. It was countless times stronger than the bright moon divine hall, but just when the words reached his mouth, he swallowed them back down. This was because once they entered God King Duanmu's dwelling, it did not matter if it was the bright moon divine hall or his own divine hall. They would all be as fragile as paper before any attack once they entered the dwelling. It would be the same regardless of the divine hall Mo Yen stayed in. The important part was whether the person who carried the divine hall had the power to protect it or not. Everyone became fully prepared before longer. Just as they were about to set off, Chen's face changed. He immediately became grim and soon afterwards, Mo Ling and Ando Fu's faces changed slightly as well. They all turned their heads in the same direction. To no surprise, it was where the dark cloud mountains stood. 2 powerful presences suddenly appeared where they were looking, shooting towards the Mo clan with lightning speed. The presences were tremendous, causing the clouds to churn and winds to rise. Clearly, they were gods. "It's the ancestors of the Nanyan clan and Hua family from the provincial city," Mo Ling said with a stern voice. He had discerned their identities before they had even appeared through their presences alone. There were only so many gods in the Dong'an province and every single one of them had lived for many years. As a result, even if the gods had never spoken to each other before, they knew each other. People from the provincial city have actually come to the Mo clan. Has the Lu family really leaked the news about Godkind Duanmu's jade and the news is already spreading across the Dong'an province? Chen thought. Cold light flickered in his eyes. In just a few seconds, the 2 gods arrived above the Mo clan. They stood 100 meters away from Chen's group. As expected, the 2 people were 2 of the 3 gods who were sent to watch over the dark cloud mountains. They had left the mine at the same time. One of them had headed to the Ando clan, while the other 2 directly went to the Mo clan. "Mo Ling, Ando Fu, where are you planning on going?" What has happened to your Mo clan? Why have all your people left? What's happening?" A white-robed young man acted like he was surprised as he looked around with some uncertainty. He was a god from the Nanyan clan. Even though he only seemed to be in his 20s from his appearance, he had already lived for several tens of thousand years. The god from the Hua family beside him studied the surroundings constantly as well. In the end, his gaze focused on Mo Ling and Ando Fu, and the light in his eyes flickered as well. That is an internal affair of my Mo clan. There is no need for other clans to interfere. Sirs, I still have important matters to attend to, so I won't be spending any time with you. Farewell. Mo Ling clasped his hands and said calmly. Stop. Just as Mo Ling finished speaking, the god from the Hua family called out. With a flash, he arrived behind Jian Chen's group, pincer-ing them with the god from the Nanyan clan. Huolian, what are you trying to do? Mo Ling's face sank. He stared at the god from the Hua clan sharply. The god smiled indifferently. Mo Ling, I'm only curious about the important matter that you have to attend to. It's so important that you even had to disperse the entire Mo clan. Please quench my curiosity. That is a matter of my Mo clan. Even if your Hua family is one of the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province, you have no right to interfere with my clan's matters, Mo Ling said coldly. The god from the Hua family stood with his arms crossed. He smiled confidently and said, Mo Ling, if you don't do as I wish and satisfy my curiosity, I can't let you leave. Thrum. Just when the god from the Hua family finished speaking, the crisp resonance of a sword rang out in the sky. The temperature in the surroundings plummeted and snow filled the sky. A silver-white sword shone brightly as it shot towards the ancestor of the Hua family with lightning speed. Chapter 1723, Opening the Dwelling. The flying sword moved extremely quickly. Coupled with Huolian's proximity, there was only a flash, and the sword arrived before Huolian. Huolian's face changed drastically. When he blocked the path of the people from the Mo clan, he had been expecting Mo Ling and Ando Fu to attack him, so he had always maintained his vigilance. However, even with how he was expecting an attack, the appearance of the glowing sword still frightened him to the point where he became covered in cold sweat. The streak of light moved just too quickly, as if it had teleported. The person who struck out showed no prior signs of moving either, so by the time the god reacted, the sword had already stabbed towards his forehead. In this moment of life or death, Huolian bellowed out and laws of fire encircled his surroundings, forming layers of protection while origin energy surged out violently from his body, instantly condensing a shield. However, Huolian's defenses were completely useless before the streak of light, unable to stop it at all. The light tore through all his defenses and was driven straight towards Huolian's forehead. Huolian's pupils had narrowed to the size of needles, reflecting the streak of light that approached with lightning speed. In the end, the streak of light plunged into his forehead under his gaze of disbelief. It was directly driven into his brain. His soul shattered, and he died. Huolian's eyes were filled with much regret as life rapidly drained from them. He had not even used his battle skills or protective treasure. Instead, he was killed from just the first strike. Huolian fell slowly, falling towards the ground from several hundred meters high up in the air. Chen had already appeared where he was standing before, holding the flying snow sword that was dripping with a god's blood. Huolian's space ring had ended up in Chen's hands as well. Huolian. Huolian's dead. The young man from the Nanyan clan watched everything unfold in a daze. His heart surged. Huolian's strength was similar to his, at early god, yet he had been slain in a single stroke, unable to fight back at all. That meant that he could not even escape if the same person wanted to kill him as well. Run! The god from the Nanyan clan paled in a single moment. Without any hesitation, he began to flee as quickly as he could, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Linear lightning release. Chen was emotionless. He turned into a bolt of lightning in pursuit and caught up instantly. Under his almost dazed gaze, Chen passed through the chest of the god from the Nanyan clan and charged out from the other side. The god from the Nanyan clan grunted. His eyes widened as he stared at Chen, who had just pierced through his chest in disbelief. He was scared witless. He had lived for over 100,000 years, yet he had never seen such a terrifying sword technique before. Who are you? I'm from the Nanyan clan. You can't kill me, the god said with a hoarse voice. On the surface, there was only a bowl-sized hole in his chest, but Chen had already reached the great perfection of sword origin now. His sword techniques were so powerful that just a single attack had claimed half of the early god's life, incapacitating him completely. You shouldn't have come here. Chen said coldly and directly drove his sword through the god's forehead, destroying his soul. Chen had realized that the news of God King Duanmu's dwelling had been leaked with the arrival of the gods from the Hua family and the Nanyan clan. They had probably come to verify the information. Once they learned that the news of God King Duanmu's jade was true, all the powerful clans in the Dong'an province would definitely mobilize their entire clan and hurry over as quickly as possible. As a result, he refused to let the two of them pass any messages to their clans. After taking the space ring from the god from the Nanyan family, Chen flew towards Mo Ling. In the distance, Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and the various deity elders all stared at Chen in disbelief. They had gained a new understanding of Chen's strength. Although they had witnessed Chen crush Lu Tian, it was nowhere near as shocking as the current scene. The god from the Hua family had actually been slain by a single strike. This was just too shocking to them. Gods were figures who held the position of ancestor in the organizations in the region. They were experts who stood at the very apex of the province, yet they were so fragile before Chen. Chen's talent really does make me envious. Shen Jian was the calmest person among the group. It could be said that he had watched Chen grow from a puny saint emperor to his current state. He understood just how terrifying Chen's talent was. It was not just this life. Even in the past life, Chen's talent was famous, where no one could compare to him. He had already become invincible in the Jianghu at a young age. Yenner actually saved such a powerful person. Shiyu became filled with mixed feelings. She had completely objected to Mo Yen saving Chen and Shen Jian, but she had never thought that the two people Mo Yen saved would become the saviors of the Mo clan. The information about God King Duanmu's jade has probably been leaked. We need to hurry to the dwelling as soon as possible, Chen said to Mo Ling and Ando Fu. Let's not waste time and go right now. Mo Ling was also grim. He immediately led everyone towards the location of God King Duanmu's dwelling. Before long, Chen's group arrived at the boundary between the Lu family, Mo clan, and Ando clan. An ancient mountain range that spans several tens of thousand kilometers stood there. The origin energy in the area was relatively thin, with a few weak magical beasts living there. It did not seem to be anything special from the surface, so people rarely set foot here. Mo Ling and Ando Fu had become the guides, while Chen and Shen Jian followed them closely into the depths of the mountains. Behind them were around a dozen deities from the Mo clan and the Ando clan. In the depths of the mountains, Mo Ling and Ando Fu stopped before an extremely ordinary mountain peak. Mo Ling said, "We're here. The entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling is right here. Let's assemble God King Duanmu's jade and open the dwelling." Chen took out the two pieces of jade without any hesitation, and Mo Ling also took out the jade in his Mo clan's possession. The three pieces hovered in the air, radiating with a suffocating pressure. Before the pressure, even Chen, Mo Ling, and Ando Fu could not help but become stern. The three pieces of jade assembled by themselves and joined together, forming a perfect piece. It shone with ink-green light as a mysterious power surged from within the jade. It connected with the surroundings and seemed to fuse with certain laws, immediately causing the space there to tremor. The space rippled like water, blurring everyone's vision. As space trembled, a tremendous and terrifying pulse of energy was emitted, causing the clouds in the sky to rapidly disperse. The entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling was opening. Stop! At this moment, a bellow rang out from the distance. 4 figures appeared in the distant horizon, hurrying over at full speed. Chen, Shen Jian, Mo Ling, and Ando Fu all looked over and became grim. "Oh no, they're from the Weiner clan," Mo Ling said in a stern voice. Chapter 1724, Holding them out alone, 2 mid-gods and 2 early gods, Chen murmured. He also frowned before glancing at the opening dwelling. There would still be some time before the dwelling opened. What a powerful pressure on the soul. Even my soul trembles before this pressure. It must be the jade pendant that contains a sliver of the power from God King Duanmu's soul. They're opening the dwelling right now, quick, quick. Speed up some more. We can't let them open the entrance to the dwelling. Once they make it in there, the dwelling will close up. When that happens, we won't be able to enter even if we know where it is since we don't have the key. We have to steal God King Duanmu's jade no matter what. It's the complete jade pendant. Once God King Duanmu's jade ends up in our hands, the legacy and wealth of God King Duanmu will all fall into our Wainer clan's hands. Heavens, that's a legacy of a supreme God King. Ha ha ha, the heavens are shining on our Wainer clan, allowing us to obtain such a great fortune. Our Wainer clan will definitely produce God Kings in the future. The 4 old men from the Wainer clan stared at the dwelling that was slowly opening, and their eyes all became green with greed. Their hearts seemed to have lost control as they beat heavily despite so many years of peace. At this moment, excitement, joy, and other emotions flooded their minds. In their eyes, God King Duanmu's jade already belonged to them. This was because they could tell with a single glance that Imo Ling and Ando Fu were only gods, early gods as a matter of fact. On the other hand, the ancestors of the Wainer clan comprised of 2 early gods and 2 mid-gods. The difference in strength could be described as the disparity between heaven and earth. Quick, charge over and kill them. Destroy the Mo clan and the Ando clan. Kill all of their people. God King Duanmu's jade is ours. Desire burned in the eyes of the 4 ancestors. They were overly excited, to the point where their faces had already become completely flushed. One of them had already begun laughing aloud crazily. Ha ha ha, we're going to obtain God King Duanmu's jade. Xiao Yi has done a great job. It was he who told us the reality of God King Duanmu's jade, which was why we could make it here so quickly. By the time the other clans in the Dong'an province have verified this news, we would have already entered the dwelling. As for our own clans. Ha ha ha, our Wainer clan will have God Kings in the future. Rebuilding the clan will be a piece of cake. The 4 gods from the Wainer clan were all ravished with joy. The heavens had blessed them, allowing the fortune to fall directly into their laps. However, what they did not know was that the Overgod ancestors of the Ando clan, Mo clan, and Lu family had already searched through God King Duanmu's dwelling for many years already. Not only did they fail to obtain God King Duanmu's legacy as Overgods, but they had all died in there. The 4 gods of the Wainer clan moved extremely quickly. They arrived in the depths of the mountains in the blink of an eye, and they were quite close to Jian Chen and the others now. Jian Chen's gaze was sharp. He surged with soaring sword chi. The moment the 4 gods entered the depths of the mountains, he also stepped out, directly charging towards the 4 of them. At the same time, he said without even turning back, "Keep opening the entrance. I'll stop them." When the 4 gods saw Jian Chen charge over aggressively, their faces became filled with heavy killing intent. They no longer cared who was before them today. They would kill anyone who stood in their way of obtaining God King Duanmu's jade, even if it were the 3 most powerful clans in the Dong'an province. Those who stand in my way will die. Die. No one can stop me from getting God King Duanmu's jade. You petty thief, piss off. The 4 gods all bellowed out. At that moment, they had really lost their minds. They no longer cared whether Jian Chen was at the origin realm, whether he was a deity, or whether he was a god. They all struck out with their full strength towards Jian Chen at the same time. They had almost lost all their rationality before the enticement of God King Duanmu's legacy. Whether it was a God King's legacy or a God King's treasure, any single one of them was enough for puny gods like them to become fatally attracted. This was because God Kings were indomitable existences in their eyes, existences that they could only look up to, let alone a supreme God King who made it onto the God King's throne. The 4 of them struck out with their full strength. Powerful origin energy formed huge sword chi with the power of laws. A total of 4 sword chi shot towards Chen with great might. Chen was stern. Against 4 gods, he did not dare to be careless, especially when 2 of them were mid-gods. Although his comprehension of laws had exceeded the 4 of them, reaching late god, his personal cultivation was still not as great. He was only equivalent to a deity. Sky-severing strike. Chen raised the flying snow sword high above his head. As snow danced in the surroundings, the light on the flying snow sword expanded to several hundred meters long, and he directly cleaved down with it. With the strike, an invisible domain of the sword formed, making it seem like space had frozen. The 4 gods were surprised. Before Chen's attack, they all felt an extremely great threat. In particular, the 2 early gods experienced an even more intense sense of threat. Boom! The huge streak of light struck the sword chi from the 4 gods heavily, immediately erupting with a great boom. Terrifying ripples of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing mountains to collapse and the ground to crack. The entire world seemed to be trembling violently. The powerful ripples of energy forced all the elders of the Mo clan and the Ando clan to retreat. None of them managed to remain stable. Only Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and Shen Jian remained where they were. However, the dwelling that was slowly opening up was not affected at all. Clearly, the shockwaves were not enough to shake up the formations around the dwelling. Chen's body drifted back by a few meters as well. He wielded the flying snow sword as he hovered there emotionlessly. Violent streams of energy crashed into his body, making his clothes and long hair flutter. The 4 gods before him all came to a halt as well. The 2 early gods had even staggered backwards, only stabilizing themselves with great difficulty after falling back 100 meters. Chen's sword technique posed an extremely great threat to any single one of them. He could even heavily injure or kill an early god with the strike. The 4 gods only managed to reach a stalemate when working together. Chapter 1725. Poisoned. The 4 gods from the Weiner clan all stared at Chen in shock. Originally, they only saw Mo Ling and Ando Fu as gods. Although they had seen Chen as well, they treated him as nothing important, as they could already tell that it was impossible for Chen to be a god. In fact, when Chen charged towards the 4 of them to stop them from approaching God King Duanmu's dwelling, the 4 gods had still treated Chen like he was nothing. His attempt to block them had excited their intense killing intent instead. As a result, the 4 of them had all struck out of anger. It was an attempt to remove all obstacles using the most direct method possible. Originally, they believed Chen would be reduced to pieces from their attacks. However, they had never expected for Chen to not only survive but to even reach a stalemate with the 4 of them. This was what shocked them. "Sir, who are you?" a god asked coldly. A vicious light flickered in his eyes. His name was Weiner, and he was one of the 2 mid-gods of the Weiner clan. Chen stared at the 4 gods of the Weiner clan with his sword in hand. He said coldly, "Who I am is not important. Please leave." "Ha ha ha, just you won't be enough to make us leave," Weiner laughed aloud. His eyes shone with extremely heavy killing intent. They had to obtain God King Duanmu's jade. No one could stop them today. "You're dreaming if you want to take the jade for yourself. Kill him." The other mid-god ancestor of the Weiner clan, Weiner T, said coldly. A huge sword appeared in his hand with that. It shone with an earthen yellow light. He swung the sword and sent strands of power from the laws of earth towards Chen. At the same time, Weiner moved as well. A huge, twin-headed axe appeared in his hands. It flickered with black light as the power of laws revolved around the blades. He bellowed out and immediately swung the axe towards Chen's head as a dark streak. Space suddenly began to ripple as the axe was swung out. Space actually became heavy as if it had been frozen at that moment. Chen felt his body sink all of a sudden as if a mountain had crashed onto his shoulders. He felt extremely heavy. The flying snow sword in his hand had become extremely heavy as well, despite how it was supposed to be as light as a feather. His clothes stuck to his skin closely, becoming as heavy and stiff as steel. Laws of gravity? Chen thought. Chaotic force rampaged in his body as he pushed his chaotic body to its limits. At the same time, streaks of light rapidly gathered in the surroundings, forming a dazzling, protective layer around Chen. It isolated him from the surrounding space, keeping the laws of gravity at bay. He stabbed out with the flying snow sword as it shone with golden light. Sword chi surged and the resplendent light illuminated the surroundings. It had become as dazzling as the sun. Daluo sword. With a rumble, all the laws of gravity that permeated the surroundings collapsed. Terrifying shockwaves of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing the mountains to quake. Golden sword chi was scattered in every direction, piercing the mountains in the vicinity. Wainer T and Wainer Shen both shuddered as they drifted away uncontrollably. They both became grim. Chen's body also wavered slightly, and he staggered back a few meters uncontrollably. His clothes had become rather messy. Wainer T and Wainer Shen had clearly struck out with more power than before. Gravity domain. Wainer Shen bellowed out. His soul fused with the surroundings, connecting with the world. The laws of gravity gathered on him before dispersing as a streak of darkness. It formed a domain that enveloped Chen. Like a fish in water, Wainer Shen's battle prowess immediately soared inside the gravity domain. Force of the earth. Wainer T gripped his sword with one hand while forming a hand seal with the other. He extended a finger towards the ground below and the ground immediately began to wither with that. The mountains that were originally teeming with life withered at a visible rate, becoming barren mountains. Visible strands of tremendous energy gathered rapidly from the ground, condensing into a hazy piece of earth before Wainer T. It directly rammed towards Chen with a rumble. Chen was encased in his protective light such that only a blurry figure was visible. He fought against Wainer T and Wainer Shen within the gravity domain with great intensity. They all surged with battle intent as sword chi shone brightly. They fought to the point where the domain constantly distorted and tremored violently as if it would shatter at any time. Wainer Shen did his best to maintain the domain while launching a constant barrage of battle skills and secret techniques towards Chen. On the other hand, Wainer T erupted with his full strength. He also used various battle skills and secret techniques constantly, resulting in a devastating battle. The other two gods of the Wainer clan did not take part in the battle against Chen. Their gazes burned with desire as they became blurs. They charged towards Mo Ling and Ando Fu as quickly as they could. They wanted to take God King Duanmu's jade. The faces of Mo Ling and Ando Fu changed slightly. The two of them had gone through the battle between the three clans earlier, so they were both injured. It would be no problem for them to handle deities, but they would not be the opponents of gods. In particular, Ando Fu had been injured by Chen's linear lightning release, so his injuries were even worse. He struggled to even use half of his strength as an early god. Boom! Suddenly, a great sound rang out. Wainer Shen's gravity domain had finally been destroyed. The moment it shattered, Wainer Shen's presence suffered a huge hit. He spurted blood as he endured an intense backlash. Chen immediately charged out. He swung the flying snow sword, sending two powerful sword chi towards the two early gods of the Wainer clan to stop them. However, at this moment, Chen sensed something. He turned around and stabbed out without any hesitation at all. A dark light had silently shot out of Wainer Ti's hands with lightning speed. Although Chen managed to stab the streak of dark light with great precision, the black light that was split in half continued onwards without slowing down at all. They stabbed Chen so quickly that he was unable to dodge. Even the protective light around him was unable to stop it. Chen immediately experienced excruciating pain as well as a sense of numbness. His skin actually blackened at a visible rate. It's poison. Chen's heart shivered. His chaotic Niden spewed out strands of chaotic force as he devoted himself to stopping the spread of the poison. This is the stinger from the soul-devouring wasps of the worldless abyss. This is where all their poison is concentrated. It is certain death for late gods once they become poisoned by this, and it'll even cause some trouble to Overgods. Sir, the only person you can blame is yourself, for getting in our Wainer clan's way. You can't blame us. However, you'll be able to die without regret since you're dying to this poison stinger that our clan bought by paying a great price in the royal city, Wainer T said coldly. Chapter 1726, Overgods descend. Even if I'm poisoned, I can still stop you from entering, Chen said coldly. He stood sturdily with an indomitable spirit, blocking the enemies all by himself. The formations outside God King Duamu's dwelling had finally been activated. A space gate ripped open there, revealing the chaotic space inside. Everything was blurry. Quick, brother Chen. Come. Mo Ling's voice rang out from afar. The 4 gods of the Wainer clan burned with desire. At that moment, the 4 of them could no longer bother with Chen. They directly made their way around Chen as they charged towards God King Duanmu's dwelling as fast as possible. Even after suffering a backlash, Wainerson ignored his worsening condition and used a secret technique to charge towards the dwelling with his greatest speed. With me here, none of you will be entering the dwelling, Chen said coldly. He suppressed the poison within him as he blocked their path. A great battle erupted amongst the 4 of them once again. However, even after being poisoned, Chen did not seem to weaken at all. He remained extremely powerful, keeping the 4 gods of the Wainer clan busy all by himself. Not only were the 4 of them unable to approach the God King's dwelling, but they were even forced further and further away from it by Chen's barrage of attacks. Spurt. Spurt. After around a dozen clashes, the 2 early gods from the Wainer clan were heavily injured by Chen. They constantly spurted blood. Only Wainer T and Wainerson remained locked in battle against Chen. They produced monstrous sounds as wild energy shockwaves wreaked havoc in the surroundings. They tore the clouds to shreds and tipped whole mountains, reducing the depths of the ancient mountain range to a mess. It was no longer the same as before. The elders of the Mo clan and the Ando clan had already entered God King Duamu's dwelling. Only Mo Ling and Ando Fu remained waiting outside. A gleam of light flickered through Ando Fu's eyes as he watched Chen fight against the 4 gods in a devastating battle. He began to hesitate. He clearly felt some doubts. After all, if he entered the dwelling right now and closed it, Chen would not be able to do anything to him from outside. However, as soon as he thought of Chen's terrifying speed, he shivered inside. In the end, he abandoned the bold thought. This was because he knew that even if he entered the God King's dwelling, it was impossible for him to obtain anything. He did not even consider God King Duamu's legacy. Even their 3 overgod ancestors could not obtain it, so it was even more impossible to end up with him, a puny early god. Chen was already covered in blood as he continued to engage in a vicious fight against the 4 gods. He had clearly suffered some wounds, and he had lost some control over the poison within him, so it had begun to spread again. He would experience excruciating pain wherever the poison spread to. After that, he would experience numbness as if he would lose control of whatever place the poison reached. What powerful poison! Chen's heart sunk slightly. He asked Mo Ling secretly, "Brother Mo Ling, how long does it take for the entrance to the God King's dwelling to close?" 10 seconds, replied Mo Ling in a similar fashion. All right. You 2 enter first and close the entrance. I'll come within 10 seconds, Chen responded. Mo Ling hesitated slightly. He soon made up his mind and immediately entered the dwelling with Ando Fu and also put away God King Duanmu's jade. Without the support of the jade, the entrance to the dwelling immediately began to close up slowly. No! The 4 gods of the Wainer clan all cried out as they bathed in blood. They were all filled with regret. Madness filled their faces as they all charged towards the entrance of the dwelling. Piss off! Chen bellowed out and blocked their way, preventing them from approaching the dwelling. Don't block my way. Let me in. I want to enter the dwelling, sir. Why must you do this to us? Why don't we work together? We can enter the dwelling together to obtain the fortune. There's no need for us to suffer together, let us into the dwelling. We'll owe you a favor. You can get us to do anything in the future. The 4 gods of the Weiner clan were all extremely flustered, but they were unable to break free from Jian Chen. They all began to state conditions for Jian Chen to let them through. By now, 6 seconds had already passed and 2/3 of the entrance had closed. Jian Chen did not waver at all. He stabbed out with the flying snow sword with lightning speed. Paying the price of a few more wounds, he forced the 4 gods who had basically lost their minds back by a few thousand meters. The entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling became smaller and smaller. No, no, no. Let me in. Don't block me, let me in, we already know where the dwelling is. If you don't let us in, we'll announce the location to the world. You'll only be able to hide in there for the rest of your life, right? If you don't let us in, we won't let you have it easy. Once the location is announced, experts will definitely gather here. You're done for once you come out, the gods of the Weiner clan roared out angrily. Their eyes became bloodshot as they became filled with intense unwillingness and hatred. The entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling had already shrunken to the size of half a person now. Jian Chen frowned when he heard the words of the 4 gods. He turned around and saw the closing dwelling. He launched a strand of Daluo sword chi, forcing the 4 people back before using the linear lightning release. He turned into a bolt of lightning and charged into the dwelling a moment before it had closed up completely. He could vaguely hear the mad roars of the 4 gods the moment he entered the dwelling. The entrance closed and the surroundings calmed down very soon. From the outside, it was very difficult to imagine that a space gate to God King Duanmu's dwelling was hidden here. The 4 gods of the Weiner clan were all enraged. Their faces were terrifyingly sunken. They immediately announced the location of God King Duanmu's dwelling as quickly as possible, immediately causing a huge uproar in the Dong'an province. After all, this news had come from the ancestors of the Weiner clan personally. Without a single doubt, this directly confirmed the existence of God King Duanmu's dwelling and was not a tall tale told by people who had nothing better to do. With that, none of the powerful clans in the Dong'an province were able to sit still anymore. All their gods set out, heading to where the dwelling was located as quickly as possible. At the same time, the matter spread towards the other provinces of the divine kingdom of Tian like wildfire. It spread across the 36 provinces as soon as possible, reaching the royal city and even the region beyond the kingdom. It caused a huge commotion. In a short amount of time, the location of God King Duanmu's dwelling became the place where gods gathered. Several dozen gods stood in a crowd there, with their numbers rapidly rising. It reached triple figures very soon. At this moment, a terrifying presence that made all the gods present tremble crushed down from above. A hunchbacked old man slowly drifted down with a dragon-headed staff. He radiated with a supreme presence. An overgod. Heavens, overgods have hurried over so quickly. Chapter 1727, The Yubing clan. With the appearance of the hunchbacked old man, the clamor immediately died down. At that moment, everyone's gaze was gathered on the old man with the dragon-headed staff. Reverence and fear poured out from their eyes. The deities and origin realm cultivators gathered in the surroundings were all forced into a rapid retreat by the old man's tremendous presence. All of them turned rather pale. The huge disparity in strength made them find it difficult to breathe under the old man's presence, as if a mountain sat on their chests, making them suffocate. For that time, the hunchbacked old man became the center of attention. He seems to be the ancestor of the strongest clan in the frigid snow province, the Yubing clan. That's right. I haven't seen the ancestor of the Yubing clan before, but I have seen an image of him in the past. He really is the one from the Yubing clan. The frigid snow province possesses one of the 5 most powerful provincial cities in our divine kingdom of Tian, and this is all because of the Yubing clan. Because of their overgod ancestor, their status is supreme within the divine kingdom of Tian. All the gods gathered there communicated with one another secretly. None of them dared to speak aloud, including the people from the 3 most powerful clans of the Dong'an province. The hunchbacked old man walked around in the space of the area. His powerful soul that was at the level of Overgods scanned the region there time and time again. He performed a close search and did not forget any corners at all. The old man's soul was rampant and overbearing. He did not try to keep it concealed at all. As his soul expanded, everyone present sensed a great pressure. Some of the Origin Realm experts even experienced splitting pain in their souls, immediately frightening them into retreating. They left the mountain range. Overgods are actually so powerful. Just the senses of their souls make me feel so pressured. Is this the strength of an Overgod? It's so terrifying. It really does fill me with anticipation. I wonder if there'll be a day I reach Overgod in my life. Many gods were secretly shocked and felt even more fear towards the hunchbacked old man. A while later, the hunchbacked old man dismissed the senses of his soul. A pressing light flickered through his ancient eyes, and he sighed in amazement while staring at the space there. It really is the dwelling of a supreme god king. It's actually so well hidden. Even when I stand near the entrance and search carefully, I can't find anything. The old man then looked around at the surrounding gods, and his old voice rang out, "Who knows the precise location of God King Duanmu's dwelling?" Weiner T immediately flew over and bowed towards the old man politely. After stating his origins, he pointed towards the entrance and said, "Senior, the entrance is right there. I've personally witnessed the people of the Mo clan and the Ando clan enter the dwelling through there." The old man arrived at the place where Weiner T had pointed to with a single step, and he extended his staff towards the space there. All the gods present felt an extremely terrifying energy strike the space when the old man made his move. It immediately caused them to pale. Although the old man had not directed his attack towards them, they could sense just how terrifying the strike was from the side. Even mid-gods would die instantly if the attack landed on them. The space there remained the same as before after taking the old man's strike. Aside from the rampant origin energy there was nothing abnormal. What an impressive method. I actually can't find the entrance to the dwelling at all. The entire dwelling has been hidden in space, making it impossible to sense from the outside. The old man frowned. Jian gathered with the people of the Mo clan and the Ando clan within the dwelling. Currently, they stood at the entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling, except the entrance was closed now. It could only be opened again with God King Duanmu's jade. "Brother Jian, are you fine?" Mo Ling arrived before Jian and asked with great concern. What he saw was that Jian had been dyed red with blood. Beneath his red robes, most of his skin had blackened. The poison had spread severely as if it had almost reached the point where he could not keep it at bay anymore. After all, this was a poison that could even claim the lives of late gods, and it could even cause some trouble to Overgods. If it were not for Jian's chaotic body, making his body extraordinarily tough, he probably would have been reduced to a puddle of liquids long ago. Jian shook his head. "The poison is potent, but it can't kill me. I'll force it out of my body immediately." With that, Jian sat down and began to circulate his chaotic force as hard as he could to fend off the poison. Shen Jian and Mo Ling immediately stepped up to watch over Jian. They stared at Ando Fu cautiously. Clearly, they were worried about Ando Fu the most. Ando Fu also understood that he was not trusted, so he made his way to another side and sat down, knowing what to do in the situation. He continued to heal himself while the elders of the Ando clan all stood around Ando Fu. Ando Fu had become extremely fearful of Jian. Even though he knew that his sneak attack against Jian would probably be effective right now, he had lost the courage to do something like that. This was because he knew that even if Jian was forcing out the poison, he would still remain vigilant about the world around him. Ando Fu would probably be killed mercilessly as soon as he moved. Shen Jian also sat down nearby to continue his recovery. However, he did not drop his guard at all. "Everyone, rest for a while. The dwelling is extremely dangerous, so do not move individually," Mo Ling said to the elders before guarding over Jian. Under his full power, the poison in Jian was controlled very soon. Forced by the chaotic force, the poison that had spread across a large portion of his body began to recede. At the same time, strands of chaotic force that had filled Jian Chen's blood, flesh, and bones surged out, beginning to drive away the poison. Jian Chen's chaotic force was still weak. It was not true chaotic force and was nowhere near true chaotic force in terms of power. However, it was still a kind of chaotic force after all. The poison was naturally not its opponent. Almost an hour passed before Jian Chen's eyes snapped open. He extended a finger towards the ground and a pool of poison immediately shot out. It came into contact with the tough, stone floor and emitted a series of hisses, eating away a small hole through the tough floor at a visible rate. "Brother Jian Chen, you forced out the poison so quickly?" Mo Ling was shocked when he personally witnessed this. The poison could kill late gods after all. It's fortunate that this poison is not of a particularly high quality. It can only poison gods to death. If it could poison Overgods to death, I probably would have been done for, Jian Chen said indifferently. Just poison that could claim the lives of gods did not pose too great of a threat to him. However, once he came across anything stronger, he would be in trouble. Chapter 1728, Fairy Hao Yu's departure. Mo Ling immediately praised Jian Chen when he heard that. Admiration filled his eyes. Ando Fu, who was sitting nearby, opened his eyes as well. He glanced towards Jian Chen and thought to himself, what are the origins of this kiddo? A poison that can even claim the lives of gods poses no threat to him. I refuse to believe that he's a god. Although his comprehension of laws has surpassed mine, I can tell that it seems to remain at the level of gods from my battle with him. There really isn't origin energy in God King Duanmu's dwelling at all. We can only replenish origin energy through divine crystals, pills, and heavenly resources. Jian Chen looked around and murmured to himself. He guessed that the formations of the dwelling had cut off the origin energy of the outside world. Although there was no origin energy here, Jian Chen could sense that radiant saint force filled the surroundings. Radiant saint force and origin energy were two vastly different energies. Any origin realm or sainthood cultivator could sense origin energy, but only radiant saint masters could sense radiant saint force. The formations within the dwelling could keep out origin energy, but it was unable to keep out radiant saint force. Cultivating as a radiant saint master would be quite a good choice in here, except it is not the time for that right now. My battle prowess as a fighter is beyond mid-god, but my abilities as a radiant saint master only makes me equivalent to a saint emperor. Even if I can increase my abilities in here, it'll be very difficult to raise it to the point where I can threaten gods. Aside from that, my usage of radiant saint force remains at the level of the lower world. Even if I do make any improvements, it won't really make me more powerful, Jian Chen thought inside. He no longer thought about the radiant saint force and focused on healing. Jian Chen completely relied on the chaotic force to recover and did not use any radiant saint force at all. Clearly, he did not want to expose his identity as a radiant saint master before Mo Ling and Ando Fu. Several hours later, Jian Chen made a full recovery, but Shen Jian had only recovered from a third of his injuries after ingesting the medicine that Mo Ling had given him. After all, the amount of time that had passed was simply too short for him to make a full recovery. After recovering, Jian Chen began to tidy through everything he had obtained. He basically carried all the wealth of the Ando clan and the Lu family on him right now. There were also the 2 space rings from the gods of the Hua family and the Nanyan clan on him. There are close to 10 million low-grade divine crystals, with several tens of thousand mid-grade divine crystals. There are actually even more high-grade divine crystals than mid-grade ones, reaching into the 200,000s. Looks like the Lu family excavate all of these recently. Joy flooded Jian Chen's eyes. The number of divine crystals made him overjoyed, as they were enough for Shen Jian to progress to late deity. They had been trapped in the God King's dwelling now. Although Jian Chen did not know about the situation outside, it was obvious that various experts had already gathered, encircling the entire entrance. Under such grim circumstances, the stronger the people on his side were, the better it would be. There's also quite a few cultivation methods and battle skills as well as notes on cultivation. There are even quite a few pills. There's recovery, healing, and, what's this? Jian Chen's eyes narrowed. With a flip of his hand, a jade bottle appeared silently. On it was a label that said 100-Year God Origin Pill. Brother Jian Chen, this is a pill for cultivation. It's even useful for gods. There are a total of 3 levels, which are 100-Year God Origin Pills, 1,000-Year God Origin Pills, and 10,000-Year God Origin Pills. They can directly give you a century, a millennia, or 10 millennia's worth of cultivation. The ones you possess are 100-Year God Origin Pills, which can directly increase your cultivation by 100 years' worth. Each pill is invaluable. However, the effects of the pill are brutal as well. It's extremely overbearing such that any carelessness can result in heavy injuries from the backlash of its medicinal effects. At the same time, using the pills to increase your cultivation will leave behind many great problems. Consuming too many will make your foundation unstable. Mo Ling introduced the pill to Jian Chen. Clearly, he understood these pills very well. A strange light flickered through Jian Chen's eyes. Without any hesitation, he uncapped the bottle and discovered that there were actually 10 pills in there. 10 pills will give you 1,000 years worth of cultivation. That's equivalent to a second-grade immortal tier violet cloud peach. However, there are 10,000-year God Origin pills. Just a single one of them will be even more effective than a 9th-grade immortal tier violet cloud peach, Jian Chen thought. Although 100-Year God Origin pills were not particularly useful to him, 10,000-Year God Origin pills would be extremely helpful if he could find any. A single 10,000-Year God Origin pill contained as much origin energy as a regular cultivator could absorb over 10,000 years. However, this total would differ depending on the talent of the person, their cultivation method, and the environment. The origin energy absorbed by a person with ordinary talent might only be equivalent to a few hundred years of effort by someone with impressive talent. This period would be even shorter if it was a prodigy. After all, the number of years' worth of cultivation a pill could provide was only a unit of measurement. It did not mean it was equivalent to 10,000 years of cultivation for everyone. Brother Mo Ling, may I know where I can find 10,000-Year God Origin pills? Jian Chen asked. There's one in the royal city. It's said that the divine king of the divine kingdom of Ping Tian brought it back from some other divine kingdom. It has always been on sale in the auction center within the royal city, except it hasn't been sold even after several tens of thousands years. It's just too expensive, and no one is bold enough to consume a 10,000-Year God Origin pill. God Origin pill are known for their brutality, so the backlash will be even more terrifying for a 10,000-year one. They'll probably end up exploding and dying once they ingest the pill before they can increase their strength at all, said Mo Ling. A 10,000-Year God Origin pill, Jian Chen murmured inside as he secretly made up his mind. Once he made it out of here, he would do everything he could to exchange for a few 10,000-Year God Origin pills. The pill might have been a type of poison to others, but it was something fantastic for Jian Chen who cultivated the chaotic body. He was not afraid of the backlash from the pill, and he could directly ignore any destruction to his foundation. After tidying through everything, Jian Chen gave a few divine crystals to the people of the Ando clan and the Mo clan. He gave the rest to Shen Jian, as well as all the recovery and healing pills. The pills would be more useful to Shen Jian than himself in here. Jian Chen treated the people from the Ando clan fairly. Every extra person in the dwelling would be some extra power. He might still need them in the future. Jian Chen was in no hurry to search through God King Duanmu's dwelling. Even 3 Overgods had died in here before, so he probably could not even save his own skin in here. As a result, the matter at hand was to increase his own strength as well as to give Shen Jian enough time to break through. Jian Chen took out the formation discs he had found in the space rings of the gods from the Hua family and the Nanyan clan. He gave one to Shen Jian and used one for himself, casting down a defensive formation around him that could even withstand several attacks from gods. Afterwards, he sat down and prepared to condense the second strand of profound sword chi. Formation discs were extremely common treasures in the saints' world. They were created by formation masters who engraved their formations into the disc. A person could activate the formation inside a formation disc regardless of their understanding of formations, allowing them to use it either against their enemies or to defend themselves. Chen, when do you plan on venturing into the dwelling? Just when Chen was about to refine the second strand of profound sword chi, Fairy Hao Yu's voice suddenly rang out. Fairy Hao Yu, you know that I'm rather weak right now. I'll probably be doomed if I venture in hurriedly, so I have to increase my strength, Chen replied. It was exactly Fairy Hao Yu that had urged him to enter the dwelling in such a hurry. Basically, it was her who wanted to enter the dwelling. Chen, I'll scout ahead first and see if I can get lucky and recover my body. Once you emerge, just attack any of the formations in the dwelling, and I'll return immediately. I'll guide you as well, said Fairy Hao Yu. Her illusionary soul then drifted out, forming a hazy figure before Chen. Fairy Hao Yu, are you familiar with this dwelling? There are quite a few formations in here. Even Overgods can die. In your current state, Chen asked with some concern. The corner of Fairy Hao Yu's lips curled up scornfully. She said, these formations aren't enough to garner my attention unless that kiddo called Duanmu has some mastery over formations. Chen, don't you look down on me. I'm just a soul, and I won't even be able to defeat Origin Realm cultivators, but I can move around as I wish in here. Kiddo. Chen had no idea how to respond when he heard Fairy Hao Yu refer to God King Duanmu as such. With that, Fairy Hao Yu set off by herself. She passed the control over the Bright Moon Divine Hall to Chen. If it weren't for condensing the perfect body, why would I still be in the form of a soul right now? I can't count on the high-grade divine crystal mine for now. I just hope that the things in here don't disappoint me. Vaguely, Chen seemed to hear Fairy Hao Yu's grumbling. Chapter 1729. 5 Overgods. Afterwards, Chen entered seclusion and began to condense his second strand of profound sword chi. Not only had his battle prowess increased after reaching the great perfection of sword origin, but the strength of his sword techniques had increased by several folds as well. Even the strength of his first strand of profound sword chi had grown. In the past, he had almost directly slain the ancestor of the Lu family with his first strand of profound sword chi. At that time, his profound sword chi only posed a fatal threat to early gods. Against mid-gods, it would only heavily injure them at most. However, now that he had reached the great perfection of sword origin, he was confident that he could directly kill mid-gods even without refining the second strand of profound sword chi. If he condensed the second strand and used them together, he could even kill late gods in a single strike. At that time, no one below Overgod would be able to threaten him anymore. When Chen entered seclusion, Mo Ling and Ando Fu entered seclusion as well. They wanted to comprehend the mysteries of the world and reach mid-god. Both of them were at the peak of early god while their bodies were filled with origin energy, so they were unable to absorb any more origin energy. They only required the comprehension of laws. Once they deepened their comprehension, they would reach mid-god. If they failed, they would remain as early gods for the rest of their lives. As they began to cultivate, the deity elders of the Mo clan and the Ando clan all sat down and began cultivating in seclusion as well. They had already entered this place many times, so they completely understood the dangers. To ignorant outsiders, God King Duanmu's dwelling was a land of fortune ready to be excavated, but to the people who were familiar with this place, it was a grave. As a result, they did not dare to move on their own without the lead of their ancestors. A few days later, Shen made a full recovery. However, he did not immediately emerge from seclusion and instead continued to cultivate with his divine crystals. Basically, all the divine crystals Chen had obtained were given to Shen. Even the high-grade divine crystals given to the patriarch of the Mo clan before to maintain the protective formations had been returned to Shen. Shen now possessed a large number of divine crystals of various grades, so it was more than enough for him to become a late deity. In the past few days, more and more gods gathered outside God King Duanmu's dwelling. They no longer only came from the Dong'an province. Across the 36 provinces of the divine kingdom of Tian, over 80% of the gods had gathered there. Quite a few gods from other divine kingdoms had gathered here as well. Perhaps God King Duanmu's dwelling was nothing attractive to other god kings, but it was something irresistible for gods and overgods. In particular, overgods desired to enter God King Duanmu's dwelling even more. They all hoped that they could come across the fortuitous encounter they needed to become a god king inside the dwelling. The overgod from the Yubing clan of the frigid snow province always remained near the entrance of God King Duanmu's dwelling. He tried various methods to enter, but all of them failed so far. However, he still did not give up. "Bing Lu, you've sure come quickly." Suddenly, an ancient voice boomed out, causing all the mountains nearby to tremble. A ruddy old man strode over with a sword on his back. He radiated with soaring sword chi, which was both sharp and brutal. He did not walk quickly, but he would cross a great distance with each step. He arrived before the overgod of the Yubing clan with just a few steps. It's the ancestor of the Ling family from the sword-seeking province, Ling Hogong. Heavens, another overgod. Duke Ho was a subject of the divine kingdom of Tian in its founding. It's said that he went to war with the divine king before founding the divine kingdom of Tian in this large expanse of land. The divine king bestowed a region to Duke Ho, which became the sword-seeking province of the 36 provinces. Duke Ho has devoted his life to the sword, becoming infatuated with it. As a result, he changed the name of the province he came from to the sword-seeking province. The Ling family controls the entire provincial city, and they don't have to pay taxes to the royal city either. It's all because Ling Hogong was a subject of the kingdom during its founding. There are over a dozen overgods in our divine kingdom of Tian, but there is less than a handful of overgods who can enjoy Ling Hogong's treatment. The hunchbacked old man looked up and glanced at Ling Hogong. He said steadily, "Is there any use in coming early? Haven't I still been blocked outside as well? God King Duanmu's abilities really are great. Even when you stand at the entrance, you can't tell there's anything here. I'm guessing God King Duanmu hid his dwelling in space and protected the entrance with powerful formations. However, since there are formations, attacking it will definitely lead to a response." "Let me try," said Ling Hogong. With a crisp thrum, the sword on his back was drawn. He wielded it in one hand, and his presence completely changed. The figure of a huge sword seemed to condense around him as he directly slashed out. Ling Hogong's laws of the sword had already surpassed sword origin and reached sword spirit. The slash caused the origin energy in the surroundings to fall into disarray. A sharp sword intent filled the surroundings as if even the air had sharpened. All the gods gathered in the surroundings retreated. Although Ling Hogong had directed his slash at the space, the sword chi that permeated the surroundings still made them shiver. However, even with Ling Hogong's slash, the entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling failed to appear. There were not even any pulses from any formations. The entrance to the dwelling is too well hidden. "There's nothing I can do," Ling Hogong sighed gently. If it were not for Bing Lu who had told him where the entrance to the dwelling was located, he would have even believed it was just ordinary space. "Ha ha ha, none of you have entered, so it looks like we're not late." At this moment, another loud voice rang out. 3 figures approached the region rapidly. The tremendous presence they gave off had reached the level of overgods as well. "Feng Buell, Guhan Shui, Eugene, you've come at the perfect time. Let's see if you can open the entrance." Ling Hogong's eyes immediately lit up. These 3 figures who flew over were the other 3 overgods from the 5 great provinces of the divine kingdom. They were Feng Buell of the Feng family, Guhan Shui of the Guhan clan, and Eugene of the Yu family. Aside from Eugene, who was a gray-haired old man, the other 2 both seemed to be in their 20s. One was male, while the other was female. Feng Buell was dressed in white robes. He seemed handsome and elegant. Guhan Shui, on the other hand, was an alluring beauty. Chapter 1730. The young man with a fan Feng Buell squinted when he heard that. He walked around the entrance of God King Duanmu's dwelling a few times and immediately became interested. He said, "The entrance is hidden in space. It's so great that even with my eyes, I struggle to tell its existence. However, I just happen to have studied formations a little, so I can try." At the same time, there was a bustling city in the neighboring divine kingdom of Qingyang. A man who only seemed to be in his 20s strolled through the busy streets slowly with a fan in his hand. The corners of the young man's lips were slightly perked. He seemed rather impudent as he observed the surroundings with great interest, as if he found it all to be extremely novel. Behind the young man was a burly man who seemed to be in his 20s. He followed the young man closely. The man was extremely ordinary. He did not give off any presences at all, making him seem like an ordinary person. The outside world really is colorful. I've only strolled around on this street and my horizons have already been broadened. It's not like back in the clan, where I see the same faces day and night. It has reached the point where it's bothersome. I've only passed through the trials after much desperation, so the oldies back at home finally allowed me out. This time, I'll have all the fun I can get. Unless they call me back, I'll never return. The young man played around with his fan. He was in extremely good spirits. "Young master, you've come out to train and toughen up, not to play," reminded the man behind him. "Uncle Chen, isn't training just playing? And isn't playing training? Isn't it all the same?" The young man said slightly unhappily. "Young master, of course, they're not the same," the middle-aged man said seriously. Before he could finish talking, the young man shrugged and said, all right. Uncle Chen, I understand. Let me stroll around first, and I'll go train later." At this moment, a luxurious carriage towed by 9 rare beasts ran down the street. The expressions of all the people on the two sides changed when they saw the carriage, and they opened up a path in a hurry. In particular, the women who had some beauty paled in fright. It was as if they had seen the most terrifying matter in the world, and they all fled in a hurry. At this moment, a golden rope emerged from the carriage. It unfurled into around a dozen thinner ropes and wrapped around a woman each. As they screamed, they were quickly pulled into the carriage. All of the women caught were the most beautiful among the females present. The young master of the Mo family has come out looking for playthings again. Sigh, these women sure are unfortunate to end up in the hands of that young master. Who knows how many women the young master of the Mo family has dirted. All the women he has captured have never appeared again. Who knows what has happened to them? What can we do? The Mo family reigns supreme in the Blue River Province. No one dares to offend the Mo family in the Blue River Province. After all, the Mo family is the reason why the Blue River Province is one of the 5 most powerful provinces in the divine kingdom of Qingyang. Quite a few passers-by discussed this matter on the sides of the street. Many of them pitted the women. No one stood forward against the young master of the Mo family for kidnapping people publicly. If they did that, they would only end up dead. "My elder sister, let go of my sister," a child who seemed less than 10 years old ran out and charged towards the carriage. He was panic-stricken. "You're looking to die," a cold voice rang out from the carriage. Without even making an appearance, a long whip emerged from the carriage, directly extending towards the child. The child had only just begun cultivating. He was not even an Earth Saint Master, so he would be dead for sure if the whip struck him. The eyes of the young man with a fan narrowed at the sight of this. With a clap, his fan was closed, and he directly extended his fan towards the whip from afar. Immediately, a powerful strand of origin energy shot out and knocked the whip aside. "How dare you? Who is getting in this young master's way? Are you sick of living?" An arrogant voice rang out from the carriage. The young man walked over under everyone's attention slowly. He tapped the fan in his hand as he smiled and politely, "You dare to call yourself a young master before this young master? You sure are bold. The one who's tired of living is you. You dare to talk back to this young master? Kill him," the young master of the Mo clan said from within the carriage. The guards around the carriage immediately surged up as they charged towards the young man aggressively. The corner of the young man's lips perked up disdainfully. He said, How dare you disrespect this young master? You should die for harming innocent women in the eye of the public. You should die for attacking a young child. You should die. The young man spread his fingers and opened the fan in his hand, directly fanning it towards the carriage. Whoosh! Flames immediately rose up with the wave of the fan, surging towards the sky. Flames emerged from the fan, turning into a violent dragon of fire that enveloped the guards and carriage of the Mo family. The violent flames came and left quickly. It had vanished in just the blink of an eye. At that moment, all the guards and the carriage enveloped by the flames vanished, only some ash was left behind on the ground. The street fell silent at that moment. Everyone became stunned. What kind of fire was this? It reduced the young master of the Mo family along with his carriage into ash in a single moment while leaving the surrounding structures and people unscathed. Everyone's gaze towards the young man changed. This was definitely groundbreaking to kill the young master of the Mo family in the territory of the Mo family. After all, the Mo family was one of the 5 most powerful clans within the divine kingdom of Qingyang. They possessed an overgod and controlled an entire province. Thank you, Savior, thank you. The women he had saved all thanked the young man before fleeing with lingering fear. They disappeared into the crowd. Looks like the Mo family is not up to anything good either. Uncle Chen, let's go. Let's go wipe out the Mo family. The young man put his fan away and walked off indifferently. Young master, you've already wiped out 4 clans along the way. The strong prey on the weak. That is the law of the saints' world. If you have to stick your nose into every matter, you'll have to wipe out quite a few clans on the entire cloud plain, the man beside him said helplessly. If that's the case, let's leave this Mo family be for now. Uncle Chen, I heard that a god king's dwelling has appeared in the divine kingdom of Tian. It seems to belong to someone called Duanmu or something. Let's go check it out. The young man became excited once again. Duanmu, the middle-aged man murmured to himself. A gleam of light flashed through his eyes, and he nodded. Let's go and check it out. Chapter 1731, Overgods attacking the formation. Soon after the young man with a fan and the burly man referred to as Uncle Chen left, a powerful presence rapidly appeared. In the sky, over a dozen men in black clothes had appeared. They were emotionless and cold. The weakest of them were at reciprocity, while the leader had already reached deity from the presence and pressure he gave off. Who killed the young master of our Mo family? Chase him down, the deity said coldly. After learning about the direction which the young man had left in, he pursued with lightning speed. At the same time, a powerful presence surged into the sky from the estate of the Mo family. It surged out like an arrow, and the pressure it possessed actually came from a god. With the appearance of the god, a tremendous voice boomed through the sky. Who has come to our Mo family and looks down on us? There was rage within the voice, and the person shot off towards the young man like a sword. Heavens, a god of the Mo family has appeared. It's enough to draw out a god of the Mo family. The senior who killed the young master of the Mo family earlier was probably a god. Gods are great existences. It's extremely difficult to see one normally. I never thought I was actually standing beside a god. Heated discussions appeared in the bustling street. Many people felt sorry for the young man with a fan. The Mo family basically controlled the entire provincial city. Even if the young man were a god, he would not be able to escape from the Mo family. What very few people noticed was that the god from the Mo family actually did not return. Moreover, the god never appeared in the Mo family ever again. More and more godhood experts gathered at the entrance of God King Duanmu's dwelling. Not only were over 80% of all the gods from the divine kingdom of Tian present, but the number of overgods constantly increased. Aside from the 5 ancestors of the 5 provincial cities, even the overgods from the royal city had come. By now, there were more than 10 overgods gathered. All the overgods had gathered at the entrance. They tried any idea they could think of to open up the dwelling, but no matter what they tried, nothing worked. Even the overgod Feng Buell, who had studied formations a little in the past, was pushed to his wits' end. Looks like the ancestor of the Mo family from the divine kingdom of Qingyang has come. Even people of the divine kingdom of Qingyang have come. He seems like the ancestor of the divine sect of sun transformation from the divine kingdom of Qingyang. The ancestor of the windless school from the divine kingdom of Qingyang has come as well. Overgods from the divine kingdom of 9 stars have come as well. Look, he's from the divine kingdom of Kaiyuan. As time went on, the number of overgods present only increased. Every single one of them was senior members of a divine kingdom, great figures who dominated entire regions. Their whereabouts would normally always be unknown, but they had all gathered in the divine kingdom of Tian today after receiving news of God King Duanmu's dwelling. The divine kingdom of Tian, the divine kingdom of Qingyang, the divine kingdom of 9 stars, and the divine kingdom of Kaiyuan all possessed roughly the same strength. Basically, every single divine kingdom possessed over a dozen overgods. Even though not all of them had gathered here, there were already over 30 overgods. There were even more gods. This is within our divine kingdom of Tian. God King Duanmu's dwelling belongs to our divine kingdom of Tian, so please leave if you are not part of the divine kingdom. The overgods of the divine kingdom of Tian were obviously displeased with the arrival of so many foreign overgods. One of them immediately spoke out righteously. Hee, that's true. It is in your divine kingdom of Tian, but who said that people from other divine kingdoms can't come here? Moreover, God King Duanmu's dwelling doesn't belong to your divine kingdom. According to my knowledge, your divine kingdom hadn't even been founded when God King Duanmu was at the peak of his fame, a black-robed old man sneered. He possessed an icy cold presence. He was the overgod from the Mo family of the divine kingdom of Qingyang. That's right. God King Duanmu's dwelling doesn't belong to your divine kingdom of Tian. The God King himself did not belong to the kingdom, so you're all dreaming if your divine kingdom of Tian plans to take it for themselves, added another overgod. He came from the divine kingdom of 9 stars. People of the divine kingdom of Tian, consider it. If you want to take God King Duanmu's dwelling for yourselves, we'll all become your enemies. Can you really afford to pick a fight like this? A beauty in a white dress said. She came from the divine kingdom of Kaiyuan. The overgod from the divine kingdom of Tian was met with the forceful rebuke from overgods of the 3 other divine kingdoms as soon as he spoke out, immediately causing his face to become rather ugly. He did not wish for the overgods of other divine kingdoms to enter the dwelling because the competition would become more intense with more people. Their chances of obtaining anything good would naturally decrease. However, they just happened to be unable to do anything. The divine kingdom of Tian was unable to hold back 3 other divine kingdoms that possessed similar power. Cut the bullshit. It doesn't matter how many overgods gather here if we can't even get through the main entrance. Let's think about a way in instead, said Feng Buell. Looks like the entrance to the dwelling is hidden in space. Everyone, why don't we work together and force out the formation hidden in space first, said the ancestor of the Mo family. Everyone immediately agreed to the suggestion. They all began to move, using their own techniques in an attempt to force out the entrance hidden in space. Immediately, violent booms rang out constantly. Terrifying ripples of energy permeated the surrounding space. It really did seem like the end of the world. The entire mountain range was flattened in a single instance. The shockwaves of energy when the overgods struck out was not something that the gods could endure, especially when so many overgods struck out together. It forced back all the gods in the surroundings. God damn it. It's all because of the damned Mo clan and Ando clan. The gods of the Wainer clan watched on in the distance enviously. Their jealousy had reached the point where they wanted to roar out. God King Duanmu's dwelling was so well hidden and so hard to enter where even so many overgods were obstructed from entry. If they were inside in the dwelling, they would be able to enjoy the items left behind by the God King comfortably. Whenever they thought about that, the gods of the Wainer clan would be filled with jealousy and hatred to the point where they heaved heavily, and their eyes became bloodshot. Chapter 1732, the second strand of profound sword chi over 30 overgods struck out at the same time. The shockwaves of energy formed terrifying storms. Only other overgods could keep their footing within the storms. Gods had already retreated to several hundred kilometers away. Even at such a distance, there were still many gods who had to use all their power to remain where they were. However, there were two exceptions in the space there. One was a handsome young man in white clothes. He held a fan and smiled impudently. He stared at the overgods who attacked the formations in interest. The young man was clearly only a god, yet he remained as stable as a mountain in the storms of energy caused by the overgods' attacks. The powerful ripples failed to even touch his hair. Upon closer inspection, it was quite obvious that the ripples of energy could not even get within 3 meters of the young man. Behind the young man stood a burly man. He seemed extremely ordinary, just like a mortal. However, he was able to hover in the air, and the ripples of energy were unable to get within 3 meters of the man as well. In that region of space, only where the young man and burly man stood was peaceful. The other places were like a surging ocean. Their existence naturally attracted the attention of all the overgods present. They directly looked past the young man and saw the burly man behind him. All their eyes narrowed. This was because they could not tell the cultivation level of the man. He seemed just like an ordinary person who had never cultivated before. However, they did not look down on him. Instead, they became fearful, paying particular attention towards the two of them. Although they knew that the man had used a secret technique to keep his strength hidden, he was able to stand there, which meant that his strength was extraordinary. However, what the young man did next made the complexions of all the overgods darken slightly. The young man actually pulled out a table several thousand meters in the air. The table was filled with various delicacies. The young man sat before the table. He began eating as he watched them attack the entrance to God King Duanmu's dwelling. He was enjoying himself. On the other hand, the burly man stood beside the young man quietly like a guard. "Uncle Chen, how long do you think they'll take before they get through to the entrance of the dwelling?" The young man asked with some interest as he smiled indifferently. Duanmu has achieved some mastery over the laws of space. It really is difficult to find the entrance of his dwelling since he hid it in space. However, they already know its precise location now. It'll be difficult to say how long they'll take to open the dwelling. If it's just forcing out the entrance, it's much easier. All you have to do is destabilize the space there, and the entrance will naturally appear, replied the burly man referred to as Uncle Chen. "Uncle Chen, why don't we have a gamble? Let's gamble how much time it'll take for them to force out the entrance. I'm gonna bet that they can't do it even with 3 years' time," the young man said to the burly man as he enjoyed his delicacies leisurely. "I refuse," the middle-aged man turned him down flatly. "You're boring," the young man shook his head and he immediately became less interested. Although the overgods did not hear the conversation, they gained a rough understanding of it through lip reading, and what they gathered made all of their faces sink slightly. "Who are those two?" "I don't know. I've never seen them before or even heard of them. But seeing how they can remain in the area affected by energy, they're probably overgods. The young man is only a mid-god, and he isn't using any power at all. The ripples of energy aren't stopped by him. Looks like it's the person behind him." A few of the overgods communicated with each other secretly. Without any doubt, the scornful actions of the young man had annoyed all the overgods present. They would not have minded it if he just wanted to watch. There were many others that were watching, and there were many more gods in the distance. However, he just had to take out a table of delicacies as well. That completely changed everything. He was not observing or learning. He was watching a show. Although they felt indignant, the overgods did not dare to cause trouble. They could already tell that the powerful man was only an attendant or a guard. They could not afford to provoke an organization who even had overgods as guards. Even if he was not an overgod but a late god, they still could not afford to provoke an organization that used late gods as guards. The young man spread his fingers, and his fan immediately opened up, perhaps due to the fact that he sensed that more and more overgods were directing their attention over to him. He said with a smile, "You don't need to look at me. I've just come out to enjoy myself, not to get in your way. Continue. Continue. The young man remained calm and composed before so many Overgods. However, his behavior had confirmed what the Overgods were doubting even more. Ignore him. Let's keep going, an Overgod said with a sunken face. All of them could tell that the young man had quite an impressive background. The Overgods continued to try to force out the entrance of the dwelling, and booms constantly rang out. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had come and gone. For formation discs shone with dazzling light inside God King Duanmu's dwelling, guarding a particular region of space. They were extremely eye-catching in the dwelling. Within the regions enveloped was the space where Shen Jian, Jian Chen, Mo Ling, and Ando Fu cultivated. Unknowingly, they had already remained there for 5 years. At this moment, a powerful sword chi suddenly appeared within Jian Chen's space. The formation disc that could withstand several attacks from gods collapsed and shattered in a split second. Even the formation disc itself was reduced to fragments, revealing Jian Chen. A finger-sized sword chi hovered above Jian Chen's head. It shone with pressing cold light, and just the sword intent it radiated with shattered the formation disc. As the sword intent continued to spread, even the formation's discs that guarded Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and Shen Jian began to tremble violently. The formations collapsed at a visible rate, alarming Shen Jian, Mo Ling, and Ando Fu. In the next moment, the sword intent vanished. The tiny sword chi above Jian Chen's head had been stored into Jian Chen's soul, erasing all the sharp light. Jian Chen opened his eyes slowly and smiled. The second strand of profound sword chi had finally been condensed. Since he already had prior experience, he used even less time to condense the second strand. Chapter 1733, Venturing into the Dwelling, What Powerful Sword Intent. It even made me shiver in fear. Brother Jian Chen, you've broken through again. Mo Ling arrived before Jian Chen and said in shock. Jian Chen's strength increased just too quickly. It had increased once again in this short amount of time. Ando Fu put his formation disc away and stood up. He also stared at Jian Chen in shock. Shen Jian also stopped cultivating. He opened his eyes and gazed at Jian Chen. Jian Chen shook his head in response to Mo Ling. I've only increased my understanding of a sword technique. My personal strength has not broken through. Soon afterwards, Jian Chen looked toward Shen Jian. He discovered that Shen Jian had actually become a god. Jian Chen was not surprised at all by how quickly Shen Jian had become a god. After all, his comprehension of the laws of the world had already reached mid-god. He only lacked personal cultivation. Jian Chen had basically left all the divine crystals and pills on him to Shen Jian when he entered seclusion, so with Shen Jian's talent, becoming a god in 5 years was no problem. However, Shen Jian had also used up all the divine crystals after breaking through to god. There was only an insignificant amount left for recovering origin energy. After all, it was impossible to replenish origin energy through the standard method of absorbing the energy in the surroundings here. Once someone ran out of origin energy, they would have to use divine crystals, pills, or recovery heavenly resources to replenish it all. However, Shiyu and the other elders of the Mo clan were unable to calmly accept the fact that Shen Jian had become a god so quickly. They had personally witnessed Shen Jian attain godhood from reciprocity, yet he had already risen up to god in just a few years. He was like a rocket, stunning them all with his speed. If they had not personally witnessed this, they would have never believed someone could cultivate so quickly no matter what they heard. In particular, Shiyu became filled with extremely mixed feelings. Originally, she had been labeled as a deviant with her talent, but now she realized that she was nothing when she compared herself to Shen Jian. Since everyone is ready, let's venture into the dwelling, Jian Chen said to everyone before looking around. He found a set of formations that was stood out and directly sent a strand of sword chi towards it with the flying snow sword. There was an immediately boom, which was rather obvious in the quiet dwelling. Jian Chen put his sword away after sending out the sword chi. He remained where he was as he waited. Seeing how Chen did not go anywhere, Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and the deity elders did not move by themselves. They basically all followed Chen's lead now. Before long, the illusionary fairy Hao Yu flew over from the depths of the dwelling. She arrived before Chen after a while. Fairy Hao Yu, your soul has become even more powerful. Congratulations, said Chen. Fairy Hao Yu's soul was now as strong as a deity's. Her soul was only at the origin realm 5 years ago. Fairy Hao Yu ignored his words. She said, I've gained a basic understanding of this dwelling. The dwelling where Duanmu cultivated is in the very depths, and the formations there are the most powerful. I can't get through them either. There are 3 other regions besides that. They're probably where the 3 disciples of Duanmu cultivated. The formations are weaker there as well. Besides that, there are other formations hidden in the depths of the dwelling. Even Overgods will be doomed if they fall into some of the killing formations, while God Kings will struggle to break free. As a result, you must be careful as you move through the dwelling. Any carelessness will doom you. Fairy Hao Yu's appearance startled Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and the others. They could tell just how weak Fairy Hao Yu was with a single glance, yet she was able to move around the dwelling freely and even understand so much. She had basically moved through the entire dwelling, so they could not help but hold her in high esteem. Fairy Hao Yu, may I ask if you've seen any other people in the dwelling? Mo Ling asked nervously. He did not recognize Fairy Hao Yu, so he just copied how Chen had referred to her. Fairy Hao Yu glanced at Mo Ling and said, You're asking about the ancestors of your 3 clans, right? I did indeed see them. It's all because they smashed through so many formations that I could venture so far in. Are the ancestors still alive? Mo Ling asked with great interest. Ando Fu became interested as well. His gaze was fixated on Fairy Hao Yu, and it was also filled with the same eagerness. They're dead. Their corpses are all in the depths of the dwelling. They died to a killing formation, replied Fairy Hao Yu. Mo Ling and Ando Fu immediately became rather sorrowful when they heard that. Although they had already expected this, they could not help but experience some sorrow once their doubts were confirmed. 2 of the 3 dwellings for God King Duanmu's disciples have been opened up, and they've been cleaned out. Only 1 remains. I'll take you there, Fairy Hao Yu said to Chen and Shen before leading them into the depths of the dwelling. Very soon, Chen and the others arrived at where the 3rd disciple of God King Duanmu cultivated without any obstructions. Chen discovered a large number of destroyed formations along the way. Every single one of them seemed ancient, clearly left behind by the ancestors of the 3 clans in the past. It was exactly because so many formations had been destroyed that Chen's group was able to move through the dwelling so smoothly. They basically encountered no obstacles at all. According to the ancestor, only this is the place where God King Duanmu's disciple cultivated. The disciple was an overgod and possessed quite impressive achievements in formations. The ancestors had tried to remove these formations in the past, but due to their power, the ancestors would have to devote a tremendous effort to remove them. They were unwilling to devote so much time and energy into doing that, so they never bothered with this place because the items of an overgod were not enough to draw in the ancestors. The other 2 dwellings were presumably where the grand disciples of God King Duanmu cultivated according to the ancestors. As the 2 other grand disciples were only gods, the formations were not powerful, so the ancestors managed to remove all the formations without any difficulty at all. Everything inside has already been taken away by our 3 clans, Mo Ling explained as he stood before the dwelling. Although they're grand disciples of God King Duanmu, they're much more powerful than Mo Ling and me. There are traces of their cultivation in their dwellings as well as marks for comprehending laws. Comprehending these marks are beneficial to me and Mo Ling and even better for deities. Of course, that would depend on your personal affinity. If you don't have the affinity, you won't benefit at all, added Ando Fu before glancing at the elders of his Ando clan. He really wanted them to go to the dwellings of the grand disciples to cultivate. Let's get through these formations first. An overgod cast down these formations and they are extremely well designed. Even early Overgods would not be able to get through them if they did not understand formations. They're as tough as a steel wall to you lot, but I've found the weakest point in the formations. As long as you all pour your strength together, you might be able to smash through the formation with my assistance, said Fairy Hao Yu. A gleam of light immediately flashed through Jian Chen's eyes. There was an Overgod's treasure in there, and it belonged to a disciple of God King Duanmu. It would contain far greater wealth than the abode of any regular Overgod. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.